Okay, motion to come out of executive session.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moment of prayer. Pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Roll call, please.
Councilman Del Caro.
Here.
Councilwoman McVeigh. Here. Councilwoman Schneider.
Here.
Council President Chesler.
Here.
Present.
Should we do a recap? Recap? Okay.
Yes. Recap, please.
We were in executive session for approximately 35 minutes. Topics of discussion were personnel regarding a complaint and possible referral to the Division of Taxation, litigation regarding a lawsuit filed by Mr. Imhoff, litigation regarding the town of Phillipsburg versus Lopatcong sewer matter, litigation regarding the asphalt plant, and contractual regarding acquiring a new dump truck via auction. The minutes of executive session will be available at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. In addition, number 3 on old business has been removed from the agenda. It was not a topic of discussion in executive session, and it's not going to be a topic of discussion in regular session this month. Number 3, old business. Cross it off.
COA. Okay, first item of old business.
No.
Oh, no, public comment. That's right. Public comment for agenda items only. Motion to go into public comment.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye. You need to do seconds.
I need to do second?
Yeah, we got a second, but just wait for the second.
I thought I heard a second. Who's the second?
Aye.
Oh, so it was. Okay. Are there any public comments on the agenda items only? All right. Hearing none and seeing none, I close public comment agenda items only. I make a motion to close public comments agenda items only.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, old business. Speak up. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a small voice.
Turn that on.
In the meeting?
Nobody's home.
Well,
Let's get yelled at.
Do we have to do this all over
we're
again?
gonna have to do the executive committee all over again.
We don't record executive. Yeah,
What?
we don't record executive. Is it on?
Everything's turned on. Well, you just have to, yeah. All right. Well, you're on speak loud. That's.
The amp's on?
There's no other.
Some of them.
Hello, am I on? What? Well, I don't think we can't record because we don't have microphones.
Recording, right? Yeah, it's recording.
How do we know it's
It won't pick
recording audio?
It won't pick up audio.
We have to read lips. You have to read lips on this one. None of them work?
Beth, I would just recommend you take the best minutes you can just in case the audio cuts out.
Okay.
You're not required to audio tape meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, speak
We're
up.
all gonna have to yell.
You have to speak up.
Yes.
Can you hear us back there? Okay.
Here we go.
All right. Test. Anybody do a test?
Yell.
Okay, I have
Yes,
to
speak
yell.
up.
None of this is being recorded, so we're gonna get something good out of this. Let's see. Number 1, approve executive and regular session minutes for April 1st, 2015.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Huh? You can't use your phone to record. If you are.
Phone, Peter, to record the meeting.
All right.
Please put it down. Your phone. You're pointing it at us, you're recording. We have a specific ordinance saying no recording.
He's showing you he's not recording.
Okay, well, put it away then, no big deal.
Oh my goodness. He doesn't have to put it away. It's the public. You can't tell them how to put their things.
Passed an ordinance at the beginning of the year regarding recording.
No,
All right.
recording devices, yeah. So then everybody needs to put their phones outside.
Yeah. All right.
Ridiculous.
Move along.
I made a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a second.
Discussion. Vote.
Councilman Del Caro?
Yes.
Councilwoman McKay?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
No, until we have a way of having minutes consistent at every month, at every meeting, I will say no to the minutes until we have a policy that has them consistent, so we know what to expect every month.
Council President Chesler?
Yes.
And Mayor McKay?
No. Besides, it's so old, I have no recollection of what happened 3 months ago. Let's see. The Route 57 pump station update. Application to the USDA for additional sewer work. TWA? What's that? Treatment works approval, Phillipsburg. Discussion with sewer engineer Dan Madden. It's all yours, Dan. What do you got to tell us?
Just yell.
Pump station has been started. We've diverted the flow from Mars Heights portion. And actually tomorrow we'll be tying in the Baltimore Street. So it's by the end of the day tomorrow, we should be fully on board with the whole sewer should be, and then the pump station will be fully functional.
That's good news.
So, there is additional budget left over from the grant that, or combination of the grant. I'm guessing $1 million to something like that.
About 800,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's additional funds available for other sewer projects. We had a meeting with the sewer operator, Brian Weeks, myself, and Beth, and we discussed some potential other areas that could be included. And we had the list I provided. And if we want to proceed with that, we'd have to go through the process with the USDA, reapply for the funding, remaining portion of funding for what's not contracted for.
Okay. Yeah, I have a list here of some of the suggestions that we can use the monies for, to be used specifically for sewer projects around town. You have a copy, Mayor?
I do have a copy. Some of the items that have been suggested that we use this remaining funds to accomplish would be improvements to the Stonehenge pump station to alleviate the clogging of the inlet and repair the incoming sewer that is reported to be damaged. This would involve putting the new diversion chamber with a communicator, no, what? Comminutor, rather, salvaged from the Baltimore Street pump station, replacing or lining approximately 100 linear feet of incoming sewer and rehabilitation of replacement of 1 or 2 manholes. The second item is repair of the washed out section of pipe on Prospect Road. This sewer has been undermined at the stream crossing and needs to be stabilized. Mazer has designed a replacement. Repair of a sagging sewer line on Route 22. There are offset pipe joints in 2 sections of this line, which significantly hindering flow. This results in the buildup of solids in the line and requires frequent cleaning. Chapman is suggesting that the section of pipe between 3rd and 5th Streets be evaluated and possibly replaced. Resetting of manhole frames. Brian Weeks has reported that there are 185 manhole frames throughout the town where the frames are higher than the pavement and will result in damage to snowplow blades when they get hit. There is also damage and cracking to the surrounding pavement. The proper fix is to remove and reset the castings. Damaged castings would have to be replaced. Smoke test of sewers in the Brakely Park section. Chapman believes this section of town has the most issues with inflow and infiltration. Smoke testing is a quick way to determine if there are illegal sewer connections, broken cleanout connections, and stormwater fraud connections. Brian Weeks suggested, number 6, that we check to see if funding would cover a portable fuel tank that he could use to refuel the generators at the pump stations. The limited availability of fuel during Sandy made it difficult to fuel the generators. With limited on-site storage, this would be a good alternative. 7, Stonehenge force main lining. There have been a few breaks and leaks from this force main over the past few years. We could use part of the funding to line the force main with a cured in-place liner. 8, roof structure for the new pump station. This would provide an overhang to shield individuals working in the electrical cabinets during wet weather. Delane has provided an estimate to add this for approximately $16,000. This would be a galvanized steel structure. So they at first have to go to the, with these particular projects, to the USDA, is that right?
Correct. You have to see if they would be qualified for funding. And
Now,
we have to do an application.
well, first, and we also have to figure out how much all these things would
Yeah,
cost.
it's a wish list, right?
Right,
So,
yeah, okay.
I'd like to add one more line on there, and we discussed with the engineer Paul Sturbins and also Jan, that in some areas around town, specifically in Country Hills, where the manhole is, there's a crack that goes from curb to curb that meets at the manhole. And that's, in my opinion, I spoke with Brian, that could be sewer related. So my question would be, instead of Brian using his budget to repair roads to fix those cracks, seal them up, I would like to use the proceeds from the loan that we had, use that, and then we can keep our money to do other things. So we need to look into that and see if we qualify to find out, do a study if that did actually cause the crack.
Of course, there's another alternative, is that we pay back the loan in the amount that we haven't used. So we could pay back, what is this, $800,000 we haven't used, you say, or $1 million?
800,000.
Well, the 800,000 is a grant.
Yeah, it's a grant.
So we took down $3 million in the form of a loan. We spent that.
The loan is broken, 2.2.
So it's 2.2 million borrowings and 800,000 grant. Now, what do we have to do to retain the 800 grant? Do we have to spend the 2.2
In full.
in full?
That's what they prefer to spend the money. They said there was some question whether they would prorate the grant, but that never been confirmed.
So what you're telling us is if we don't spend the rest of this, we lose it. And that you're sure of that, because I would,
I would definitely find
I would like you to find that out. That would be good. And then to find out, when you're doing that, to find some sort of budget for each of these items, some kind of estimates, and we can decide which ones are necessary. And perhaps if we could prioritize them, those which are the most important, to those which are, be nice if we did it, but we don't have to right now. Okay.
And these all have to be done by the end of the year. Yes, we have to do it fast. Otherwise, we lose it no matter what.
So we'll find out first if we're gonna, what we'll lose if we don't spend it all. Okay.
Their position
Okay.
from there.
Okay. Thank you.
So do we have to authorize you to proceed with the work? Do we have to vote on that or no?
I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
That'd be a bad idea.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
a motion
Motion to,
to authorize sewer engineer Madden to proceed with dealing with the USDA concerning whether or not we can keep any of the grant if we don't spend it all. Is that what we're saying? And then to authorize him to further estimate up how much it would cost to do each of the 8 items that he set forth in his list, and plus Lou's additional item in front of his house.
No, that,
Only kidding, Lou.
it's around,
That's funny.
Country Hills has the most problems with these projects.
second.
Second, any further discussion?
No.
All right, vote, please.
Councilman Delcaro,
Yes.
Councilwoman McKay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. Next item is co-issue, oh, you took COA off the table, so. Resolution 1591, authorized the filing of the declaratory judgment concerning affordable housing. Well, that's COA related, right?
This was previously authorized by council. I've just prepared a written formal resolution memorializing that. And in addition, what it also authorizes is your planner and your engineer, if the court should grant a period of immunity, which we imagine to be 5 months, they can immediately begin working to amend your plan if necessary. If the court determines this is your number, they can start working.
Do we have a copy of the resolution?
You do, I think. Or is that the one? Oh, no, I emailed it to everyone. It was that email that I
okay.
sent with the 4 attachments.
It's in here on your computer. Okay.
Yeah, it's not in his
So we
packet,
don't
but I
have
emailed it to everyone.
You got it.
Yeah, I don't have a printer, so. Okay.
All right, do I have a motion to,
Motion.
do we have a second?
Second.
Is there further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Delcaro,
Yes.
Councilwoman McKay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. Resolution 1592, authorized the mayor to sign shared service defense agreement, affordable housing declaratory judgment.
Mayor, this is the same, along the same lines. At the last meeting, at the end of the
We
second
approved doing
executive
it, yeah.
session, for those who
I know.
stayed awake long enough, you approved
I did.
hiring Dr. Burchell from Rutgers as a joint defense with other municipalities. This is
Yes.
merely the form resolution that is asked that all municipalities will be authorizing. And in addition, I sent to all of you the actual shared service defense agreement and a signature page for you to sign. This is just formalizing all of that, but you did approve this last meeting.
I know I did. And so it is merely a formality that we approve it here so that I can sign it. So I'll ask for a motion,
Motion.
a second.
Second.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Delcaro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McKay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. Item 6, Phillipsburg Emergency Management Service. Yeah, no, what are they called? EMS. Medical Service. There's requested a meeting with the Lopatcong EMS and the council to discuss how Lopatcong is being served for emergency services with ambulances. That we're still not, Lopatcong still isn't up and going. I saw, not the other day, a fire apparatus coming into where I live in Overlook to attend to an ambulance call. Every time we talk to them, they tell us, well, pretty soon, we're almost there, pretty soon. And the guy from Phillipsburg keeps calling me and saying, well, you know, you got to do something with us. You got to sign something because we're covering you, and you know, we have to make some kind of arrangement here. It seems that the two sides are not talking to each other. They say they are. One says the other doesn't answer, and the other says the former doesn't answer. So I don't know what's exactly going on, but I'm worried about having adequate coverage for the citizens of the township. So I think that we should make a special meeting with some members of council, or all members of council, bring them both in the same room and find out what's going on. So that's my motion, to bring them into the same room with some council members to find out what's going on so that we assure that we have continuity in emergency medical services.
Is it necessary to do this? At this point, have you talked to Lopat EMS? Because they said they didn't even know this was on the agenda for tonight.
I'm told they're,
Sure.
the trucks aren't certified yet. They haven't hired enough people. And every time we talk to them, when they come in, we had them in 3 times. You know, they always need more time. So I don't know. I'm neutral. I just want to make sure that we have adequate. I think so. And so it doesn't hurt us to bring them together, find out what their problems are one with the other, and find out why, you know, we don't have an ambulance squad that's up and running properly.
How about just setting up a committee to meet with them instead of the whole council?
It doesn't have to be, I said council of
Just
some.
a few
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and, you know, if there are 2 volunteers that want to do that, you know,
I'll
please.
do it.
Lori will do it. Anyone else?
Okay.
Lou? All right, you'll do it. And you can meet with them. You know how to get in touch with them, I assume. And please do that and let us, the rest of the council, know what's going on. But get them talking, because I don't think they're talking to each other. And that's what I think the problem is.
Right.
And this will be done within the next 2 weeks, so we have it for the next meeting, right? Your report. Thank you. We should do a resolution, I guess, to cover that.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
if we do a resolution, it gives them the authority from the council. So let's do a
A
resolution.
resolution or a motion?
I'm sorry,
Motion.
a
I'm
motion.
gonna just make a motion.
Yeah, a motion. A motion that the 2 so appointed will be empowered by the council to talk to these two squads. All right? Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
I can do all in favor.
Oh,
All in favor?
all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we move to new business. We have a presentation by LSI Line Systems scheduled. Are they here? They are. There you go.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll try to speak loud. Good evening, my name is Amy Seiler, and I'm with Line Systems. Thanks for the opportunity to present our solution for voice services. So I want to give you some background on Line Systems, who we are and what we do. And there's a lot of information in the packet. I try to give you something that you could look over after the meeting. But Line Systems, and we're also referred to as LSI, we were founded in 1999. We are a full-service facility-based communication provider. Where our corporate office is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and we serve the Mid-Atlantic region. So we provide a complete line of voice services, data services, internet services, and cloud-based services as well. We are what's called a CLEC, which is a competitive local exchange carrier, and that means we're governed by state and local regulations. We're owned by a company called Block Communications, and that's a private entity. They have 3,000 employees. They're based in Toledo, Ohio, and they own multiple telecom, cable companies, print media, and TV franchises. So that's just kind of an overview of Line Systems and who we are. The goal of the proposal that we've put together is not only to reduce your monthly recurring charges, but also provide a better solution that includes failover, disaster recovery, redundancy plan. So, and doing that, we look to give you better customer service experience to the end user. Currently, your spend, so on voice and internet services together, you're spending today from the bills that I have, $2,533. The current voice services makes up $2,267 of that expense, and the internet is $266. So what Line Systems is proposing is we would provide 2 dedicated T1 circuits to deliver the majority of those services to the township. These would be independent circuits, and we would set them up with a redundancy or failover feature. In the event that they go down, we can fail them to other business lines you have. We can fail them to another location. We can fail them to cell phones. You tell us out where you want those calls to go. And it's an automatic failover. So in the event that truck comes down the street, takes out a pole, they will fail automatically. So the cost for that service, before taxes, with the lines and the 2 T1s and the failover and the projected minutes of use, it was $1,285. Small amount of taxes that the township would pay brings estimated monthly recurring charges to $1,389. So that's a savings of $878 a month. We did this on a 36-month term. That's going to give you stability, and it's going to give you that price consistent throughout the time. So just to talk about the install process, because everybody's kind of concerned about what it takes to install service. Today, all your lines are delivered via copper POTS lines. So POTS lines, so that stands for plain old telephone. So that's what you're delivered today. So what we would do is we would send a technician out. We would do a site survey here, and we would see where those lines are. We'd identify them, and then we would put a program together to port those lines or move those lines over to the T1 circuit. So after we do that site survey, we then schedule delivery of that T1 list, or actually there's 2 T1s, and that is done by Verizon, because Verizon does own the local loop here. So Verizon installs those local loops. We come out, we put equipment on your premise, and then we test the circuit, we test the equipment, we make sure everything tests clean, and then we work with you and your phone vendor to port those numbers over. Okay. So, you would have a point person here, you get a dedicated provisioning person from Line Systems, and your phone vendor, we all work together to port that over and to give you a clean cut over. So let me tell you a little bit about our customer service. So we are 24/7, 365. When you call us, we answer the phone. We're a local provider, so we don't outsource our customer care outside the U.S. We are a local provider. In addition to that, we monitor those T1 circuits with the router that we put on premise. Actually, we're going to put 2 routers on premise. So we monitor that. So we send a signal out to it, and we ping it, and we get a response back, and we know that everything's good. We send another signal out, we don't get a response back. We either make a phone call, or we send an email. Your choice is say, did you have loss of power? What's going on? And then we troubleshoot from there. Meantime, while that's going on, the service would have failed over to the other lines. So it's just our way of monitoring what goes on, and so that corrective action can be taken. We have somebody in our building all the time. Also included in your packet, I put a service level agreement that just kind of outlines, what to expect. There's also some references. I mean, we have an excess of 10,000 customers on our network today. People like doing business with us because we are a local company, we have local care, and that's why local support and people like to work with us. And there's an escalation list in there, so that gives you who's behind, who's behind us, right? So it gives you from care, our billing group, our provisioning group, so you can see, of course, my business card is in there. I stay, attached to my accounts. And, what we look to do is provide you a, cost savings and a smooth experience.
Okay. Now, the date on your, this is probably just an error. Oh, we postponed this or something. It's May 27th, and it's good for 30 days, so it already expired.
So that's when we originally did the proposal.
Yes, I thought.
But I can, and then I think we got on the docket. Get that. But that proposal's still good, and I can get an updated. Updated. But those questions. That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
How do you determine your prices after the 3 years are up?
So we go back and we look to see, what the industry, what's going on in the industry. We look to see if our prices have come down at all. And if there's savings that we can pass on, we do that.
What's the, after a contract, what's been typically the highest change in the rate, have you noticed?
I've seen rates at the end of the term that have gone down, I would say between 10 to 20%.
Gone down? They've gone down.
They've gone down.
Okay. When you take the lines down, do you start with emergency services, bringing them back up, or do you just randomly start putting lines back up?
So no, so we were going to start with police or critical lines first.
Okay.
And that's
okay.
When you say when they go down.
When you do the change.
When we do the change.
Yeah, when you
right.
do the change. Sorry.
Yeah. So we're going to do them one at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to start with, you tell us where you want to.
Okay. Okay, great.
After 3 years, if we decide not to continue doing business, you take all your equipment out of here?
We do. So there's routers that are going to be on site.
Right.
And we'll remove the routers. And, we obviously don't want you to leave. But we understand business decisions, and
Right.
So if you choose to move on,
Okay.
If there's a break-in service, does Verizon have to, do we have to, file a ticket with Verizon to come in and fix it, or do you handle that for us?
we handle it. So you are our customer, and you call us. So you would call into our toll-free number. It's option 1 takes you to care. Option 2 takes you to the type of service that you have, and somebody there will help you. You don't call Verizon. You're our customer. You call Verizon on your behalf. I know it's very difficult dealing with Verizon.
Well, that's what we've always had to do, is call Verizon ourselves, and file for a repair ticket. And with another telecom service that we had here prior, there was always an argument of who was going to do it. One company said, well, we'll take care of it, but then we didn't, and then we go back and forth, and we ended up having to do it. So, it wasn't very clear. You're saying we'll handle that.
You call us, and we handle it. Now, and a lot of times we have to dispatch Verizon because they have the last mile, but we handle that for you. So we're going to say Verizon's going to be on your premise at Monday at between the hours of 9 and 11. Yeah, so you work with us. Great.
They actually get a live person.
Yes.
And Verizon is down, you're down, right?
Correct. Well, correct. So Verizon has that last mile.
Okay.
So if Verizon is down, you'll be down. But that's when we're going to fail those lines to where you want them to go.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. So one thing I just want to bring up is that this is not a voice over IP solution. This is delivered over dedicated T1. We're going to do a site survey, see what facilities we can bring into the building. But it is not
It's not voice over internet.
It's not, It comes back to our switch. We have a switch that's located in a secure data center, and then it goes to the public switch telephone network from there. So, not a voice over IP.
What type of outages do you have? Are they common or are they rare?
So last week we had outages. with the weather.
Okay.
And with power being in,
Mhm.
because when power goes out, circuits fail.
But then we'll fail over to our backup.
It
Correct.
would fail over to the copper pot line.
Okay.
Or wherever we determine it will go.
Okay. And the installation is there a charge for installation, or is that a?
So there's no charge for the circuits to be installed. The copper pot lines you have today, we're just going to migrate those from Verizon, so those just come onto our billing platform.
Okay.
So there's no charge there. So you'll need to just get your phone vendor involved
Okay.
to help make that transition.
Okay.
And what I got, and I don't have this in any of the notes, but what I did get approved is we can get you a credit of $250 to
Mhm.
help offset the cost of bringing the phone vendor out. And getting
Oh,
them
okay.
out.
Okay.
So that should cover.
So we can use all our own phones. He just has to
He's going to need to
change.
It's called a cross connect.
Okay.
He's going to need to cross connect from where we deliver service to your
Okay.
phone.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very
Questions?
much.
My card is in the packet.
Thank you, Amy. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, next item. Authorize township attorney and engineer to begin the process of acquiring the land needed to do the improvements to the Roseberry Street Belvedere Road intersection for the high school. Intersection plans and budget. All right, so I think the engineer might want to speak to this.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. There have been 2 meetings in recent weeks to talk about the Board of Education's progress toward getting the roadway improvements in. And they are moving forward to try to get those road improvements in. In order to do that, they actually have to finish a set of plans and get those plans publicly advertised for bids. Their goal is to actually have bids by the end of the year so the improvements can be built in early 2016. The high school is slated to open in August of 2016. There are 2 variables that need to be resolved in order to determine what's going to be on those set of plans and those bid documents. One is money, obviously. They need to determine how much money is available to do this. As you may be aware, the township filed a grant application to try to obtain money for the school to build some of the improvements, including the traffic signal. The other is right-of-way acquisition. There are properties along Roseberry Street as well as on Belvedere Road in Lopatcong Township that right-of-way has to be obtained in order to build the improvements as shown on the plans, as the plans are currently constituted. The Board of Education is not authorized to seek right-of-way acquisition. It's something that the municipalities have to do. So in order to determine that what we can do under that particular variable, the 2 towns, Phillipsburg and Lopatcong, have to go out and try to see if the right-of-way can be acquired. If it can't, the plan's going to have to be scaled back, and we're going to have to do something a little bit different than what's on the plans right now. What was discussed at the last meeting was trying to get a handle on those 2 variables, the money aspect of things and the right-of-way aspect of things during the month of July, so that by August 1st, we really can make a decision along with the Board of Education as to what this set of plans was going to be,
Mhm.
and what the engineer was going to do in the way of revisions, so that the plans can be finalized and be advertised for public bid. So the one variable, the right-of-way, again, the municipalities have to be involved. It's important that we go out there and investigate whether we can get the right-of-way. Township needs to be involved with that. So that's why this particular line item is on the agenda tonight. And just so you're aware, I did get a packet from the design engineer working for the Board of Education that had all the right-of-way acquisition documents, and I did print a copy and I gave it to Katrina tonight so that she could start work subject to your authorization.
And then I was told that it's imperative that we get this done this month, authorize you guys to work on that so that you can see where we stand Because
Yes.
every minute counts at this point to get that light up and running so that school can open, correct?
Yes. The school needs to know where they stand by the end of this month.
Okay.
And again, the two variables are money and right of way. So we need to determine what money's there and if the right of way is there to build what's on the current plans.
And I believe the two pieces are by Dr. Jorley's office and then on the other side of the driveway to the high school, correct?
Correct.
Those are the Lopat pieces, and Phillipsburg has already started this process?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
And their pieces are along Roseberry Street. That's actually a very important leg of the intersection improvements, because that's the one leg out of the four legs of the four-way intersection that does not have a separate protected left-hand turn lane.
Mm-hmm.
So that was felt in our meetings that was an important improvement, and we really need to go out to try to get that right of way to ensure that there's a left-hand turn lane on Roseberry Street to get the traffic to flow in that area after the school is built and put into operation.
Now, is it your intention to make offers to these people? Or do you intend to bring that back here so that the council authorizes what?
What I'm envisioning is township attorney, and I guess after I finish speaking, she can give her input into this. But my belief is that we're going to go out and talk to these property owners to see if they're amenable to allowing for the acquisition of the right of way or the easements, whatever is required. You know, if they say yes, then we'll take the next step to, you know, formalize an offer to them. If they say no and they're not going to work with us, it's a dead issue. And then you know, the school board's plans are going to have to change, you know, at those particular locations.
Are you considering use of eminent domain in that event?
There was no discussion at either of these two meetings about going that particular route. And I think with respect to Lopatcong Township, having been involved with these two meetings, we had discussed the fact that the improvements along Belvedere Road could be scaled back if need be to avoid these right-of-way acquisitions. It was felt that what's on the plan right now, it would be good to have these improvements, but if we could not get them either due to money or lack of right-of-way or lack of easements, that the improvements in those areas could be scaled back, and we could do something smaller to get the buses and other vehicles into and out of the high school.
And this would be our call to do that, the township school?
I don't think it's.
I think this is going to be the group's call
Right.
after we do our research, and there's going to have to be another meeting with the school board, the county, and the two municipalities and the representatives.
Okay, I mean, we all know that we've lost a huge amount of rateable property up there by having the school put there. So Lopatcong suffers much already because of this financially. I'm hoping that we don't have to suffer a lot more to make the road go into it.
People can't hear you.
What?
You were all speaking up there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I cannot hear. Come to this meeting to hear what's happening.
All right, I'll restate it.
And even with Paul and Lori, it's all mumbled, and I don't think that's.
Okay, this is my point is that Lopatcong could have had a big rateable piece of property on those 80 acres. It's the Phillips Park High School, but it's built in the township of Lopatcong. So we lost that because the high school is now there. We can't tax that. So, you know, we're suffering to some degree because of that. The original plans for this called for this intersection to be built, but now apparently what I'm told is the Department of Education, state level, has said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So now we're put into this you know, the emergency situation, if you will, that we have to come up with a way to improve that intersection so it's safe for the school buses and for people dropping their children off at the new school. And it has to be done pretty quickly because they want to open the school next year. All right. The question is how to go about that, and that's what they've been discussing. Pardon me?
I said, how many townships are involved?
Oh, there are other townships that are sending districts, yeah, but the property is Lopatcong, so it's our road. It's, you know, but it is a county road, part of it. I mean, Belvedere Road's a county road, correct?
It is.
Yeah. Now, Paul has got some kind of grant money already from the state to help with this. And that's another contribution of Lopatcong because Paul did that. And I have to believe it's
$300,000.
$300,000.
And Phillipsburg has said that they would put some money in, and Paul and I both got a different number, so I don't want to say how much that's going to be. The question is, how much will the rest be, and how do we go about doing this? Now, what Paul's suggesting here is that we give them the okay to begin to explore to do this. But I don't think we're not giving you is the authority to go and buy all this stuff. We're just saying go take a look. Correct?
Yeah, this would be exploratory in nature. We would talk to the property owners to find out if they're amenable to selling the property that's shown on the plans to be acquired or selling easement rights to the municipality. And it's a yes or no answer at this point.
And then they can go from there because they have to develop the plans. If those two landowners say, no, we're not giving you the land, then they need to scale back that intersection. Like we said, we're getting a $300,000 grant. Phillipsburg's putting in money. We think the school district's going to put in money. Hopefully the county will. And I believe Mayor McKay was approached to put in about $100,000, including the acquisition of the land, and just the rest would go towards the light and the improvements. Part of the problem is that if we need to try to get this land, so this way, if we do put those extra lanes in there, they have to move the utility poles. If we don't try to do this and we scale it back and then realize when the traffic is really bad years from now, then it's going to cost even more to rip it up and move the poles. So we just want to at least see if we can get the rights to this land.
If you do not obtain the land, then
they're gonna have to scale back the intersection.
Yeah. The lowest level project would be just putting a traffic signal at that intersection and building it as is and not doing any improvements to the roadway. That's one possible scenario. That would cost about $300,000. So that's the Volkswagen. The Cadillac is what's on the plan right now, which would be acquiring all this right of way, widening the road, putting in turning lanes and on all four legs of the intersection, putting in some sidewalk, building the traffic signal. That's about $925,000. That includes the right of way acquisition. So those are the two ends of the spectrum. There are also packages somewhere in between there. As I mentioned to you, some of the work on Belvedere Road and Lopatcong was deemed last week not to be as critical and could be taken out of the equation. So that would probably put the cost package somewhere in the middle between the 300 and the 925.
We're trying to make sure that with trying to scale for the bigger project is we're trying to help with the flow of traffic, because if we only have one lane there, then every student that's trying to make those turns in there, everybody behind them is going to have to wait for everybody to make that turn if we only have the one lane. Right. And as you know, there's about hundreds of driving students, and then we have the buses as well and parents going in there.
do the students pay for their parking passes?
I don't think so. No, I don't think the students pay for their parking passes. No.
Each student pays $75.
Do they really?
Wow.
And the parking space.
I think it's good.
Unfortunately,
Take the money that you need right there.
I'll take that to the Phillipsburg Board of Ed. They would have to charge them.
I have a question. Since we get $300,000 in grant money, and then people will commit putting some money towards this project, and Lopat will do the same, can we ask the rest of the sending districts to do the same?
Could ask them, but it's not their road.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but
You could ask.
again, it's not Peterborough's road either. So the question is, if we all chip in.
Another way to do it is have them kick the tuition charge up to everybody. Pay it off that way. Kick up the tuition charge.
We don't want that.
No, you don't want to do that.
No.
Until it's paid down.
No, we don't want that. We're already paying $15,000 a kid.
Well, you'd pay it then, and you pay it up front now. There's a difference. I don't know if that's legal though, because it's a road project. I don't know if there's a lot to do with that.
But I think Pohat and Greenwood should be approached.
I can certainly talk. I've been working with, yeah. I'll inquire with the Board of Ed of Phillipsburg and their attorney to see if they've reached out to them already and what they've said, and if we can try again.
It's really their call because they're the Board of Ed. Okay, so let's Let's make a motion to authorize the township attorney and engineer to begin this process.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chesler?
Yes.
Mayor Michael?
Yes. All right, next item. Ordinance number 1508, first reading of an ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 173, rent control, to permit and negotiated rental agreements for vacant apartments. All right, as far as I understand this is a vacancy decontrol thing. It's going to allow the landlords to, yeah. What? Yeah, you too.
Currently, under the township's rent control ordinance, you are allowed to, landlords are allowed to increase the rent 3% every year, unless they make you pay your own utilities, and then it's 2.8%. When an apartment goes vacant, so for example, over in Breakley Gardens, an apartment goes vacant, the landlord is still only allowed to go up 3%. So if it sits vacant for 3 years, the landlord, when they go to rent it again, they can give, $25 more each month, maybe depending on what the rent is. They add it up. So what the landlord has, that landlord and Larkin, which are your only two landlords, by the way, that fall under your rent control ordinance, those are the only two. They have asked that they've been asking for years, but they're asking again that they be allowed to have what's called vacancy decontrol. So if someone moves out of an apartment and it goes vacant, then they are allowed to negotiate with the new tenant whatever rent they want. They don't have to comply with the rent control ordinance. Basically, they're saying whatever the market will bear, which in their opinion right now is not any more and maybe less than what it's currently renting for. However, they're thinking long term, if the economy gets better, they can rent them for higher. Once they start renting them, though, they then fall under rent control again, and whatever that rental amount is, 3% every year while that tenant is in it. So the philosophy behind that is that if you're a willing tenant coming in and you say, oh, you want to rent, it used to be $700, but now it's $1,000 if I want to rent it, I decide if I want to move in. But once I move in, I know it will only go up 3% every month. What the landlord, every year. Yeah, every month would be bad. What the landlord is saying is that gives him, I say him because the other two landlords are him, an incentive to refurbish these apartments, make them nicer. Because right now, if you're the landlord, you're getting between $20 and $50 a year in an increase on these apartments, some of them maybe a little bit more. They have no real incentive to make these apartments nicer because they're never going to get more rent for them because they're not allowed to. So what the landlord is saying is, if you allow me to do this, that will give me this incentive, because if I make it nicer, I can charge more money for it. On the flip side, why the rent control board has recommended this is the landlords have also said that there are tenants that are currently in their apartments, seniors, people on special assistance, things like that, that could use a break. And they might freeze their rent and say, you know what, I'm allowed to charge you 3% every month, but I'm not going to charge you 3%. I'm going to charge you a month. I keep saying month, every year. I'm not going to charge you 3%. I'll charge you 1%. Or I won't charge you at all. Or heck, you're at whatever, I'll move you down. And the incentive for the landlord to do that is they know when this tenant moves out, that they will be able to recoup that and go back and say, because what happens now if a landlord, let's say the rent is $800 a month and they have someone who they know, if they don't lower the rent or give them a freeze, they will lose. So it's $800 a month. The next year they're entitled to go up a couple. They don't. For 3 years, they say, I'll leave you at your old rate. They lose their place. That becomes their new base rent. If they charge it anything lower than what they're allowed to by law, that sets the new base rent, and they can only go 3% from there. So if for 5 years they tell the tenant they don't increase their rent, they've lost some money. What that is, you have to do the calculations. So what they're saying is the incentive to the landlords is when those people move out, they then will increase. And so I think if you remember, you had a resident here last meeting who they have been in discussions with the landlord. They know that this is, and the landlord has kind of said, well, if I'm provided this opportunity, then I will do these things for you. So they are coming asking for it as well, and they have come to the rent leveling board quite often. So it's based upon that general premise that the rent control board met on Monday, and they approved this draft ordinance, and they're asking that you do it for first reading tonight, Second reading would be next month, and I've spoken to at least one of the landlord's attorneys. They would be happy to be in attendance and help answer more questions, and the public can ask their questions at that point. So they do intend on, I actually spoke to one of the attorneys tonight, and he just wanted to confirm where we were in the process and see a copy of the draft, whether he needed to send someone tonight. And he said, no, he was happy with the draft. He said, we'll come next meeting in case anyone has any questions. So that's where we are. I know that was long-winded, if anyone has any questions.
I have questions.
Sorry, I was just going to follow up on her statements. Just to finish, before we start questions. Katrina wrote up the ordinance. She did, just so you're aware, in case this thought occurred to you, there's something in here called an anti-harassment provision, which means that it would be impermissible, if the landlord gets this authority to do this, it would be impermissible for him or his agents to harass a tenant in order to get them out, so that they could get this vacancy decontrol. So there's language in here stating that, you know, to make life tough for the tenant, so the tenant would get out. So that's what's called the anti-harassment. So the tenants would be.
They actually have to sign a certification when they're seeking the vacancy decontrol. When they say, okay, someone's moved out, now I'm going to start charging. They have to alert the town. There's paperwork,
Right.
And they have to sign the certification that they did not harass the tenant to get them out. And they have to give a copy of that and all that information to the new tenant when they move in, so they can know what it used to be charged for. So that'll help them make their decision as well. But also, there is provisions and violations in the statute that if a tenant came back later and said, no, they did harass me and that's why I got out, the township has the opportunity to enforce fines and violations against it.
And these fines and violations are set forth in the new ordinance?
Yes.
No, they're in the old
see.
ordinance. They're the exact same ones that were in the old ordinance.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
For other violations.
I know you spoke at length just a minute ago about how that the landlords would be incented to help the seniors and help people on fixed incomes because they'll be having all this extra income. But this ordinance doesn't seem to require them to do
It
that.
does not require them.
So if they don't want to do it, they're not going to. And
It's absolutely
it
correct.
costs them money, so I suspect they may not want to do it. So this seems to be mostly to benefit the landlords because I don't think it's protecting the existing tenants. And that's the purpose of having a rent control system.
The existing tenants, it still provides them rent control. If you are a current tenant, now what you could argue is that it would hurt new tenants who would want to come in. So maybe someone who is already living in Lopatcong and maybe is had to move out of their single family home and they want to move to an apartment. The rents could potentially be higher because they because the landlord, when someone moves out. The current tenants who are there right now, they cannot change their rents. But you could make the argument that it could hurt potential new crops of tenants.
But what you're saying here is the part of the sales pitch was that, oh, the new tenants will be, the old tenants that are there, they'll be fine. Maybe they'll freeze their rents, maybe they'll reduce them, maybe they'll renovate their units, but they don't have to.
They won't renovate their units, and you are absolutely correct. The landlord is under no obligation to provide. He's made these promises, and what his attorney said to me is, if we don't keep our promise, we'll never hear the end of it. But that's a risk that the town will take it. If the reason you're doing this is because you think the seniors are going to get a break, that I wouldn't say just to do that. I'm not even recommending you do it. I'm saying this is the recommendation from the rent control board. I'm just giving you their reasoning. But they would not be refurbishing any of the apartments that people are currently living in. They are not required to give them any reductions. What they would be doing is refurbishing potentially new or maybe making the entire building nicer. So it's more attractive to new people coming in. What it is still providing to the tenants who are currently living there is rent control. They will still have, their rent cannot go up more than 3%. They will still fall in that. As long as they stay there, they fall under that.
what's the current vacancy rate at Breakley Gardens?
I believe the last I heard it was 40%.
So more than likely they probably may lower the rents to get people in, or?
They've said that. I wouldn't bank on that either. This is all,
Sort of what the market will bear.
you have at least 2 members of your rent control here who made the recommendation if you wish to ask them any questions.
How would that work if they say they lowered a new person coming in and everyone else in the building's paying more? that would be a mass destruction of people. They would leave their apartment and re-rent, you know, so I don't, how would that,
Well, and that's it. The landlord,
but the landlord's willing to, I guess, listen to the outcry of residents?
Yes.
And I'm not sure that he would lower any new ones coming in. I think his hope is that if eventually someday he'll be able to raise them up, you know, and,
Sure. Yeah, fix the apartments
and there was discussion among the rent control board about could we require him to provide some of these freezes and things that were discussed. And it's my opinion that you have some legal issues with discrimination, you know, seniors, we all want to help the seniors, but, you know, my grandma's 89 years old and she has far more money than I do. Good for her. But just because she's 89 years old doesn't mean she needs rental assistance. So we had some discussions, we had some back and forth with the board, we went over all of that. And it was my recommendation that the township should not necessarily require a landlord, because then he'll probably come back and say it's too onerous. So he'll get his vacancy decontrol and then come back and challenge the other half of the ordinance. So I said it wasn't necessarily prudent.
Yeah, it's so challenging with renters, with landlords, because, you know, they need higher rent sometimes in order to, because sometimes these people some renters, not all, some renters really destroy the place, and then they're not getting enough, you know, from the new rent to fix it. And nobody wants to live in a destroyed place. They're not going to want to spend the money for that, you know. But then, you know, also some of the rents are too high as they are. You know, it's such a.
In addition, the current landlords, there is one. Everyone knows there is an application to build more apartments across the highway, and if those get built, then these landlords are really going to be at a loss to compete with brand new apartments.
Right,
so,
right.
And I don't take a position either way. I could honestly argue with you either way.
Yeah,
I'm giving you the recommendations of the rent leveling board. The only thing I would recommend is if you have questions and you want to look into this more, you can do first reading tonight. And if you decide you want to change it for next meeting, all we do is first reading again. So you wouldn't be any further behind.
Right.
We could always make amendments to it, but at least you're not losing that month while you're considering it. And if you don't have any changes, you can have your public hearing and then address it further. And even if you have a public hearing and then decide you want to change it, we could do first reading again.
Okay.
So I understand they only met on Monday, so some of you might be still trying to do your own research. So yeah, by all means, I understand that.
Right.
I don't think you're losing by doing first reading.
Okay.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion on this matter?
I'll make the motion. Yes, motion to approve the
First reading 1508.
1508. First reading of ordinance 1508.
Second.
I hope there's not further discussion. No? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Del Piero,
Yes.
Councilwoman Finn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider,
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
I'm going to say no because I don't think it protects the seniors that live in there enough. So I think we could do more for them. Next item. Oh, we have the consent agenda now. Consent agenda is some 16 items. I guess we should read them all into the record, or should we just?
I don't have to.
You don't have to read them into the record?
Can I just go one by one? If anyone wants to pull any of them out, you can.
Does anyone want to pull any of them out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Why two and
3 is what we've discussed
We just
in executive.
not allowed to say what you discussed.
I know.
Well, you can say it tonight.
You don't know what I'm going to say, are you?
Why don't we
What?
just run through the rest of
There was consent agenda. We'd have to pull them out in order to talk
Oh,
about them.
All right, so. Go up to.
Well, I'm waiting.
I don't want to pull out 2 or 3.
Why would we pull them out? I mean,
If anyone wants to discuss them, you pull them out.
Oh, you want to have further discussion?
Yeah, oh,
Is
yeah,
that why you're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
it? Oh, okay. I thought
Automatic
you wanted to
consent.
take them
No, no.
out.
No, 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 no.
Got it. Okay,
I just recommend
Got
if
it.
you have any discussion
I got it.
items.
Okay, I got it.
So which ones do you wish to pull out?
2 and 3.
All right, number 2, re-advertise the fire truck for sale. Well,
You pulled them out, so then you would just do a
Do 'em
motion
after.
for 1 through 16, excluding 2 and 3.
or I could do the 2 and 3 and then do the motion for 1, 2.
You could do that.
Okay, so this way I can keep track of it. Re-advertise the fire truck for sale until sold at auction at a reduced price. The way we initially did the resolution for this, it did not call for any particular price. It just said we would sell it, we would keep auctioning it at a lower price if we didn't get the price we wanted. So it was intended that we would do that until it's sold. So we have to re-advertise it, I'm told. So the way I would like to re-advertise it is such that it says something like that. We're going to go out at a certain amount, and we're just going to continue until we sell the thing.
What amount?
What amount?
Are you starting at?
50.
So it first went in at what, 75,
No, 60.
60?
Mhm.
And we got no bids.
Nothing.
So,
How many inquiries did we get?
Yeah, so we'll try another price. It's an auction. It's a bit, the way the clouds are in the sky, a lot of things affect an auction. How many other trucks are there? What kind of trucks they are? So
do we still have an offer from, was it Oxford that wanted it?
yeah, for $6,000 for that and another truck.
I've been watching govdeals.com, and it seems like the only things that are getting any bids are things that are under $10,000. And I know former Fire Chief Tim Weiss has emailed you and emailed us about what he thinks the actual price of the fire truck is.
I didn't get that email. He didn't email me. So I don't have any knowledge of that.
So
I mean, what are we doing in the meantime? Because it's sitting out there.
I asked that it be put inside, but apparently there's no room. For a while, they had it down at the DPW lot until I found it was there, and then I asked it to go up there, so it would be in better place, I thought, for it.
But I think getting
We
back to
just
the
lost
point,
6 weeks' time or 5 weeks' time because I've been,
well, I think it went in at too high of a bid, and I think you're
It's still
being
too high.
told that probably a much lower bid would be more.
so we'll get to the lower bid.
Yeah, when though? Next year? Now we've got to insure the truck, we've got to
The
watch
two-week
it, it's our
auctions.
responsibility until that
2 week
happens while it
auctions.
sits on gov.com.
That's right.
I think that's a waste of time.
I know you do.
You're saying it's a 2-week auction?
Yes, 2 week auction.
So
So we'll go
every
with
price
50 for
is
2
2
weeks,
weeks.
so we'll go for 40 or 2 weeks, and when we sell it, we sell
Could we word it as such as 50 or best offer?
it. No,
Let's start with that.
I don't think you do that at a bid.
no, we can't do it in a bid like that.
I mean, you can do that on eBay. I don't know if you can do this
No,
on
you
this.
can't. You have to put a floor.
It's not
And
an
we put a
ad,
floor in,
it's
so
not bid.
it doesn't go below the floor.
I think we should go into
Actually,
lower
the
than.
way it works is you put the floor, and that's how they show the first bid, I think. So if we put it out for 75 first time, we put a floor of 60, that's what it shows.
So 2 weeks we'll do 50, and then after that we'll drop it to what?
40.
40? So keep dropping it until we get something?
What are we doing in the meantime, though, with the safety? I mean, it's sitting in the parking lot. All the kids are out of school right now, college kids, high school kids, not to disparage them, but it's a sitting
Much
target.
better to give it away to Alex.
So the rescue squad's sitting there, people could be dying, and obviously it has people on the hands, so don't care. My
That's
neighbor
not true.
waited 20 minutes and thought it wasn't a heart attack to be dead.
Well, that's not true. Getting back to the fire truck though, it's still our responsibility to insure that truck, is that correct? So I think, we wasted enough time with this. We didn't get one single.
It's been wasted because we
That's
were
right.
stymied every time we were trying to do
That's
it.
why it's been wasted.
No, that's not the reason,
Yeah.
Maureen. It was delayed for 6 weeks. In that 6 weeks' time, who knows what would have happened in that 6 weeks' time? So you have to give it another shot and at least put it in at a price that you can still go down on. If you put it in there at $10,000, why
We'll get rid of
bother?
it and it won't be on our books.
Well, yes.
We got comparable sales from a private company that brokers these things and from auction, the govauction.com. Both bids, both comparable sales for different fire engines, but they were both 75,000.
And that got us nowhere.
Well, initially we wanted to go with the broker, but apparently we're not allowed to do that. So we had to go with gov.com. That's the only legal way under the state rules that we could do it. You're going to get less there because, as someone has said, they have a lot of cheapies there, and you know, people looking to pick up the bargains. But I do see more expensive trucks sell there. So
Yeah, but they're not moving. That's the problem. I mean, what are they? I don't have a problem with this as long as we have some safety controls. You have to get that truck out of the parking lot.
put it in the garage.
Well, can somebody get that done?
I've tried.
I don't think they have room.
Well, they could take out the little thing that they got.
Fire truck.
Is there any room down by
You
you?
either have room or you don't.
Yeah, down at the yard. We put it down at the yard
It
someplace.
used to be down there. It was terrible down there. It was
But that's
in
even
mud.
worse spot. It's in an obscure place.
And
in the
nobody's
back.
there. It's all dark. I wanted it out in the light where nobody would mess with it.
There's a lot.
No, I understand that, but, you know, say
No, it needs to
for,
be inside.
One of the firehouses
how
is
about
probably
a
where it
month?
would go.
Can we do it for a month, put it
How about at
inside?
the EMS? Do they have room?
No, I don't want to put it in the EMS.
In a driveway or something?
What's that?
Gotta be some movement here, not, unless those into a year.
I don't want to put it there. It's not a good place for it down there because it's dark. It's
No,
nobody there.
We'll go inside his garage.
In the garage? Do you have room in the garage?
We'll have to take, no,
Can't get my equipment.
still filled.
I don't know what's in it.
That's valid.
It is. It's sitting outside of one of the firehouses right now,
Yeah,
right up against the building.
right. Who knows? When we reduce it, it could be gone in 2 weeks. It could be gone in a month.
It might not. We never knew. We got comparable sales and we figured it was worth the shot. I'm not going to throw it away for $2,000. Yeah, of course it is. So I want to continue to try to do it. And that was the way we were authorized to do that. So,
Right. Right. We still have to insure it. The problem is that it's outside. Yeah. We just need to get it inside.
it would be nice if we could get it inside. I'll ask the fire department again to put it inside. Lou, you can ask them. You used to belong to. You belong to the fire department? I'll ask him. Get it inside, Lou. Do it. All right. So what am I doing with this? There's nothing to authorize because we already have the authorization to do this.
What was the previous authorization?
There's a 60,000.
Okay.
No, there wasn't. There was no minimum.
Oh, that's the one in the minutes.
No, the minutes had no minimum. What?
On the March 18th minutes, you.
We submitted an ordinance for that.
No,
A resolution.
There was a
A
resolution.
resolution, whatever, I don't have it in front of me. But, yeah, it was a resolution. The resolution was something that gov.com suggested, and it doesn't set forth a price. You sent me a couple of emails that suggested,
No, I only sent you an excerpt from the minutes where you had spoken to, out in the public that, it could be worth anywhere from $75,000, but your minimum bid, you're gonna ask for 60.
that was the plan. That's what we just talked about here. But, and that's what we did. We put it out for 75 with a minimum, the least we would take is 60.
If you're
Right.
changing the minimum, I would do it by motion.
There was no minimum in the original
I
motion.
thought we did a resolution. Did we not do a resolution?
I don't know, the
Is there a
minutes, I
motion?
never, where are the minutes?
Yeah.
The minutes aren't typed.
Now, let's do this.
Yes, they are.
Let's do this, because we're going, it's gonna. no,
Yeah, just do a motion so this way we're covered.
let's
so
go-
we're okay.
Put a motion, put it at 50 for 2 weeks, and let's go from there.
All right, you making the motion? Do we have a
Yeah, make
second?
the motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes, Councilman Valcarro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McVeigh.
No.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. All right, now we took out another one out of the, no, what was it? Authorized mayor, CFO, DPW foreman, and council liaison to bid on replacement dump truck, also on govdeals.com. We see one on there that we think is interesting. In closed session, we discussed how much we would, how high we would go on that price because it is a bidding process. We don't want to let that out, obviously, at this point. So then we would need authorization, just as I read it, to allow those folks to pursue this matter over the next 2 weeks.
Motion.
Motion?
Why do we
Thank you.
need all four
Second?
people?
Well, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be away. Well, I mean, I'll be here by phone, but I might not be around all these days. Second?
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Is it for did we amend this to have the amount, like the amount that we agreed in the
The amount
executive?
agreed in
Yes.
the-
Okay, yes.
Mayor McCabe.
Yes. All right, now we will do the consent agenda, which is everything of the 16 listed here, with the exception of the two that we just discussed, numbers 2 and 3. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yes, motion.
Second.
Yes, second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
Mayor McCabe.
Yes. All right, moving all right along. To council reports.
You want to go back to,
Oh, didn't we have some things we had
Oh,
to
yeah.
do out of
Oh, that's
executive?
true, yeah.
We could do them.
We can do them in our
Wait.
council reports, correct?
expert? Hiring a rate expert?
I think we can do them in our council reports.
Okay.
Okay. Do them in your council reports. First council report, Mr. Belcarro.
Wow, first time. Okay, this is pertaining to the lawsuit against P-Bird in the overcharge, about $1.2 million. So we have an attorney representing the township already, Inglesino, and he has recommended that because P-Bird already hired a rate expert, and Greenwich has hired a rate expert because they're also in a lawsuit with against P-Bird. So he's recommending that we do the same. So what I'd like to do is we had a discussion in executive earlier. So I'd like to just read a couple lines here so we can move forward. And what we'll do is give Inglesino authority to go out and seek proposals for a rate expert. So it's going to be like this. We will execute a common interest mutual defense agreement with Greenwich. Okay, what happens is Greenwich has this rate expert, and so we like maybe possibly do the same thing what they're doing. And no, depends on the proposals, maybe utilize the same expert as well, maybe. And also the second line would be, and we will solicit proposals from various sewer rate experts that I just stated. So I'd like to put a motion on the floor to give Inglesino the authorization to seek these rate experts.
Second. Any more conversation on this?
No.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
Mayor McCabe.
Yes.
Okay.
You have more?
Council reports. Yeah, I have
Yes.
a couple of things.
Okay, go on.
Okay.
You're on council
Is
report.
that it from?
Yeah, the
executive?
second one, Lou.
What was that?
Second part.
Is there another one from executive that we have to?
Yeah, the execution of the common interest mutual defense agreement.
This part of it, to authorize defense agreement.
Oh, I thought he put that in there, didn't he?
Okay. Yeah, you just do that, right?
You said to hire the,
Right, authorize
They'll authorize
Inglesino.
Inglesino
Yeah, I
to
just-
seek rate expert.
Yeah.
but I thought, don't you still have to do the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
portion of it?
The part where
The
common
mutual,
interest,
the common
mutual
interest
defense.
mutual defense agreement.
Yes, I read that.
That's what he read.
You need to make a motion.
You
You
need to
read
make
it
a
earlier.
motion.
Yeah, you read it
Okay,
earlier, but you
so-
didn't make the motion
Okay.
with it in it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to that. To execute a common interest mutual defense.
Okay, second. All right, roll call.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Councilman Belcarro.
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
Mayor McCabe.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Lou, you got some more?
Yeah, a couple of things. I don't have any more on sewer. As we heard Dan Matting before with his report. Get on that. I just want to make point out a couple of things and what I like to see done. Number one, like to see is, I know sometimes we correspond emails between mayor and council members. And sometimes emails just go directly to committees. Now, what I'd like to see is, emails to be, other council members to be copied. What the committee's interaction is as far as whatever committee they're on, just to keep everybody in the loop. So
I think somebody told me we couldn't do that because of sunshine stuff. We had to keep that to a minimum.
It's really hairy.
You
You can
can
copy.
copy people, you just can't have discussions over email. So you
Right.
provide information to one of your subcommittees.
Right, so now you're saying everything anyone sends here from now on to anybody, you have to send to everybody.
I would like to see that.
Well, that's
So-
certainly not what's going on, so.
Well, I know that's not going on, but I would like to see that.
Well, that would be nice, but since it's not what's going on,
Well-
you're asking for a lot, I think, from a lot of people here, so
Well, I think it's important that we'll stay in the loop because, for example, say the finance committee was Don and myself.
yes.
I think that the other council members should be, at least in the loop of what's going on with the finance committee, with the shared services.
But that's why we do our council reports.
No, I understand, but I'm not saying they have to participate, but at least they're in the loop of what's going on. And vice versa. I mean, this is going to go right across the board for everyone. So anyhow,
I think it's going to
I'd
be
like
very
see that. I'd
cumbersome.
like to consider that.
I mean, the problem was I asked for something and you sent it to Lou and Donna instead of me.
Because they're
I don't
on
know
the
if that
finance
was,
committee.
yeah,
and
but I
Bruce is
asked you
finance
for it, so.
She was going to ask for it.
Yeah.
You sent it
Right.
to-
I asked you to put things on the website. so-
Yeah.
And you never do.
Yes, I do.
That's
Yeah, I wanna-
topic.
That's his topic.
Yeah, I want to
So,
say,
I'm saying it, that would be nice, because I love things like that.
okay, just so.
But it has to be done uniformly by everyone, and they all have to agree to it. Is that what you all want to agree to? Every item goes to everybody? No secrets?
Well, I haven't heard anything from any committee, so.
Oh, you're never on any of the emails? You're on none of them, I'm
No,
sorry.
it's me in the loop, so yes, I would like, I'm thankful that Lou brought up that suggestion. We all need to know what's going on and not wait a
Again,
month.
just so all of us are in the loop here. I mean,
Yes.
again, there's the sunshine law, they just get copied on it.
Just copied.
And we all
All
get
right,
the
then,
emails.
remember now, you're going to do this, everyone has to do that, and if they don't do that, they're in violation of what you're saying. Correct?
Now,
What do you
It's
mean
not
now?
done yet, so.
No,
It's only if certain
You
people
can't
have to do it, or all the
some
people have to do it?
decisions and not others. It's all or nothing, and then if you don't, then there's got to be some consequences to that.
Oh, yeah, let's find everything.
I think when it comes down to where if we're getting to the point where we're maybe making a decision or a discussion at a meeting, any pertinent information should be shared with everyone and not just at the meeting because then it's a little
Now, which
difficult.
matter are you referring to?
I don't even remember because there's so many. I
Was it
see
the color
some,
matter?
I have no
I think it was
idea.
color.
Sorry.
I have no idea. I really don't remember right now. No, I don't remember what it was.
Thanks.
hold on, I'm on report stuff.
Yes,
Finish,
please, Lou.
I wish you would.
I'm asking for consideration for this.
Well, we have discussion.
Okay.
And I made my discussion.
Okay, all right.
Um,
Okay, that's fine. Everybody's gonna have that.
So are you making a motion for this? You want this
It's a suggestion.
It's just a
implemented?
suggestion.
I'd like to see everybody on board with it.
Well, if it's
Now-
not a motion, then-
Proper etiquette, I mean, let's show a little
Well,
respect to
and
each
how do
other and
we-
move on, please.
How do we police it?
Yeah.
So you'll do it when it's done.
I just,
some of us will do it, others won't.
if
So,
you
I
get
mean,
to the point where it's information that you think everybody should have,
But that's
Yeah, we'll
that's
just
someone's
try.
opinion on what you think people should have. That's subjective to everybody. So if I think something's important and you don't, and I say, I really wish I would have known that, and you say, well, I don't think that was important enough for you to know, then where do we stand
You
with
know what,
it?
Donna, it's just a CC on an email.
That's all.
It's
it.
not just a
It's
CC
not
on
hard
an
work.
email.
Type in the name and the story.
That's not what you're
Let's not
asking.
make this into a mountain.
All right, Lou is making this as a suggestion, not a,
Just a suggestion.
suggestion.
Okay,
You make it appear that you want to keep everything sort of clandestine and not, you all should know what's going on. I share about
That's
it.
true.
And we keep everybody in the loop.
Yeah, well, everybody does. If the finance committee gets something, they're free to pass it along if somebody wants it.
okay, that's great.
I mean, that's the way it's
all right,
been. so.
that's,
I
That's
haven't
great.
gotten anything from them.
You don't get
Make a
any-
suggestion here.
Right, right. Yes.
That's it.
All right,
Okay.
next item, Lou.
I know I'm on, finance committee with Councilwoman Schneider, and because of our schedules, my schedule and hers, they conflict, and I know that we haven't been communicating a lot in the finance department. So I'd like to see if, when I've asked before, if Mayor would remove me from the finance committee, and I guess he hasn't considered, and replace me with Lori Chesla. That hasn't happened. So what I'm asking is that from Councilwoman Schneider that if you can inform me earlier on some, for example, the meeting we held with POHAB with Shared Services on the 15th. I was away on vacation, and Councilwoman Schneider knows that. I didn't get any information of what happened to that meeting until I read my email today. So I'm asking if we can do a little earlier. That's all.
Well-
And that's it.
Okay.
All right. Just some things we need to communicate a little bit sooner instead of 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I know you sent it this morning, but I didn't receive it this morning, to be fair, because I just didn't see it this morning. But I did look at it at the end of the day. So, having said that, I know our CFO right now is swamped with work, and she needs help. So what I'm proposing here, and Donna can add to it, we should advertise it for a part-time helper for our CFO.
Well,
Advertise across the board, and anyone that wants to send a resume in, and I mean anyone, can do so. But we have to. I'm going to follow that process as advertising for a position, part-time. I'm not sure the hours yet.
we already approved that. It was
Okay.
already approved in the May meeting, and then the shared service potential was coming up, and we were exploring that avenue on June 15th. If you had this could go two ways, Lou. You were on vacation. I told you we were having a meeting,
Right.
and you could have picked up the phone and said, how did the meeting go? What happened? It could go two ways here. I shouldn't have to constantly give you the message. You could always pick up the phone and call me. You have never called me once about anything regarding finances. Not once. Not one email. Not one anything. It's always one-sided. I'm always sending to you. And it would be nice if maybe sometimes you would call me or send me an email asking me how it goes, because, this isn't my full-time job, and I do have 3 kids at home, and sometimes that meeting I ran to my daughter's recital, and I came home, and it would have been nice when you came back from vacation knowing that we were having a meeting to call, and I would have been glad to sit and talk with you or meet with you or whatever it is you wanted. But you can't just make this all one-sided, like I'm not giving you information. And when I do have information, I do call you on the phone, and I do give it to you, because I've made phone calls to you, and I've
Okay,
sent
all
you
right.
texts.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So we're all going to communicate better.
We have to communicate better.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Again, I work full-time, okay, and, Donna has sat with the CFO in the finance committee much longer than I have, because of, again, the conflict in the schedule.
I didn't get an email either on it.
On what?
From you, from the finance committee. You didn't get any updates.
An update about what?
Your meeting that you went to on your
Why would
own.
I'm doing it in my council report?
Okay.
That's why I do that. So we have a council report.
All right.
We're going to agree
Lou, do you have any other items?
Talking about.
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay.
And I just want to continue. I mean, listen, we have to communicate better across the board here, okay? And I'm part of it as well. One last thing. I think that with shared services, I think we need to keep exploring shared services. And I think we need to put all the positions back on the table. And what I mean exploring, go to other municipalities. If it's not going to work well with our surrounding neighbors, I think we need to extend out further geographically. So I think all the positions should go back on the table and just explore it. I think we should consider that. The least we can do for the taxpayers.
I agree.
And that's just a consideration.
Mhm.
All positions under the Shared Service Pilot Act?
It's it's difficult because when we sat down with Lopatcong they basically said, our employees make too much money, and there's not a good fit because our salaries are way too high. So nobody wants to do shared service with us. So they've gone to Greenwich to look for some shared service with them because both their salaries are kind of on the equal side. Whereas nobody wants to touch us because there's no savings there for anybody, for us, but not for them. So it's a little difficult. I don't have a problem going to other municipalities and searching, but I don't know where that's going to lead, but I'd be happy to go out and do that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm not saying that because I think we need to explore to go further, because if it's not going to work around
Oh,
here,
you're on that committee, right?
Yes.
And, I mean, Lou.
yes.
All right. All right. Thank you, Lou.
And let's see what happens.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Lou.
Next, Maureen.
Okay. Buildings and grounds report. Just a few updates tonight, folks. Brian Weeks is continuing to work on the electrical problems at the pavilion. I think he's gotten some quotes, and they're going to move forward with that as soon as they can. In addition, along when that gets done, the water request from the veterans that they wanted water over the mining side, they'll do both projects at once, at the same time. So hopefully it'll get done soon, in the near future. EDAC committee, we had a meeting last week as well. We're planning on offering we still have our discount cards available if anyone hasn't gotten one. We're planning on offering them for sale at the community day. So maybe we can work out some agreement with that community day. And the topic came up during our meeting about having a town-wide garage sale. It's nothing to do with EDAC other than the fact that maybe we'll increase the economies into the town as far as the permits fees are going, and maybe economies into whatever resident is planning on participating. However, I've discussed with both Beth and Lori, in the past, we did have a town-wide garage sale, I guess, a long time ago. It used to be run by the EMS. So they haven't done it lately, but of course, we'll touch base with them first to make sure we're not stepping on anyone's toes. And the second thing is Country Hills does their own garage sale, so we want to make sure we're going to speak to them and see if they want to do a whole town together or do they want to remain separate. So it's just something we're going to look into, and hopefully we'll have some decisions made by community day, and we can send out some flyers then and alert everyone. We're thinking about doing it in the fall. You know, nice time of the year. It's everyone's back in town, and
we tried to when on rec we were considering doing it last year right before cleanup day, because that's when Country Hills did it, and we didn't have time to coordinate with them, so we want to do it this year. They do it usually the week before town-wide cleanup, so anything you don't sell you can throw away.
Be careful not to conflict. Bloomsbury has one, and they're very popular.
Okay. Well, so we have a few things to discuss, but we thought it might be something that people might be interested in. We'll see. Rent leveling board, as we've already discussed tonight, had a meeting on Monday. We've discussed that, had first reading. LAA, they had a meeting last week as well. They discussed, voted to, as you may or may not be aware, they're looking into going into 501c3. So they want to separate out of the town and kind of run onto their own platform under 501c3. So they voted to just investigate the matter further, see what their options are out there, what they would have to do, what kind of things come under their umbrella versus what kind of things would be stay at the town as far as costs and things like that. Lastly, we're coming up to our public comment section. I just wanted to remind everyone, we do have an ordinance on record stating that 167-4, for those of you that like the numbers, persons addressing the Township Council shall be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes for their presentation. So I propose that we start reinforcing that because two reasons. A lot of people come to their meetings, to this meeting. Sometimes they drag on. They stay here. They sit here. It's a long night. They want to get in there and they want to get their comments. So I think it's only fair that each person that gets up here, say what you got to say, move it along. You know, we're not here to engage in discussion. It's comment, public comment section. So 5 minutes. It's really to show respect for your fellow residents so that everyone gets a turn. And of course, the secondary objective is to keep the length of these meetings to the best length that they could be instead of being here all night. So that's just a reminder, folks. So,
We should also remind ourselves that when people have 5 minutes, they have 5 minutes and not to interrupt their 5 minutes. Because if you interrupt their 5 minutes, then you're taking time from their 5 minutes. So you let them speak their 5 minutes without interrupting them.
and there's no comments from us. It's public
Right.
comments.
Right, but when
Comments are optional from
there's
us.
been interruptions in the public comments. So that happened last month.
With
and the month
respect to the
before.
LAA, that was last Tuesday night. I received a report from the police that the building was left unlocked at the end of the LAA.
Oh, it's the Lopatcong
Athletic
Association.
Yes.
And to my dismay, I was sent an email blaming me for leaving it open when in fact I had left the building well before the meeting. I went to the police and I had them check their security cameras and they confirmed that I was not the last one out. Now, if I were you guys, I'd call a special meeting and try to have you thrown out of here or something, but I'm different than you are, so I'm not going to do that. I just want you to try and, lock the building up. We had a particular issue because Wednesday morning they found human excrement in the ladies' room floor. Now, I don't know when that happened. It could have happened earlier in the night. Keeping the building secure is, of course, a good thing. So let's try and do that after all meetings. All right.
So
Any
that's
more,
all
Maureen?
I had in my report. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Next one will be Laurie.
All right, let me start with my committee. Shade Tree is meeting next week. They meet on a Thursday night. They don't have an employee who is a secretary to them, and I am not sure that I can attend that meeting because I may not be in town. So if not, I may need somebody to open the building for them, but I guess I could work out something as long as I can get it in here. Okay, all right, good. Okay.
And close it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, please lock it.
Let me go through Board of Ed. They had put a proposal out there to have full-day kindergarten where it would be paid as on a tuition basis. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough interest at this point. Some people backed out, so that won't be happening this year. And they may try to investigate it in the future because we are only one of 2 towns in Warren County that doesn't have it at this point. They're also in the process of selling Delaware Park School. That'll help get help with the taxes, at least your school tax bill, because right now they're paying to keep this building going and heated and all that. So once we can get it off, and they'll get the money from it too because they own that, so that'll be good. Also, as far
Any offers?
nothing official yet. That's what I was told.
I bet they're spending $20,000-$30,000 just to keep it up.
As far as the intersection with the high school, as we talked a little bit about how we're trying to shoot for, the Mercedes, because this will help alleviate any traffic now and in the future. And again, they can scale it back as needed. One of the things we do need to do is try to get the land so we can make those additional lanes. It's costing about over $900,000. We are trying very hard to get the majority of that money from sources besides the township, our township, and Phillipsburg. I know our engineer, Paul Sturbins, Superintendent George Chando, and the Board of Ed attorney, Doug Steinhardt, have been going down to the DOT. Even after they were told there was no money to be had, they went down there and they knocked on doors. They got us the $300,000, and they're continuing to knock on doors to try to make sure that the tax burden to us is as low as possible. So I just want to thank them for that diligence.
Thank you, Paul.
For rec, okay. One of the things we just approved is we're having a dog parade. Part of the reason we're having a dog parade, I don't have details on that yet, we wanted to get it approved. It's probably going to be in the area that we want to have a dog park. We've been actively, I have to give credit to my committeeman, Bob Liston, who's been going out to all the different dog parks, finding out how they're run and how they're funded. Hopefully we do have the support of council to continue to look at this initiative. Typically they're done with donations, they're funded by that, and they are run by organizations, volunteers who go in and clean up and maintain that. What we want to do is we want to have this little dog parade. There'll be, we're trying to get gifts from like Petco and stuff. So for the, most decorated dog, for the dog and owner that look alike, little things like that. Most low pat spirit in a dog. It will be a very short parade because I don't know. So we'll have more details on that. we thought it would be a good kickoff to get people involved in the fact that we do want to have a dog park and see if they want to do that. I personally won't be bringing my dogs because I have 2 corgis. They think they're people. They don't want to have dogs, so they'll be staying home. Like Maureen was saying, last year we were trying to get a yard sale together at the last minute, but it was a little too late and we were running into Country Hills. So we're trying to work with them to see if they want to do it on the same weekend, if that's not impeding on what they've been doing for years. And again, it's before cleanup day. And this way, it's nice because if you have a town-wide yard sale, people know it's town-wide. You're going to get a lot of people here. You'll get rid of your stuff.
And you don't need a permit?
You do have to get a permit, yeah. We have to check the ordinance to see if you get a discount, but you do have to get a permit.
Okay, some towns don't require permits on that particular
Right.
day, so you just want to be clear.
Right.
Movies at the pool will be starting the first week in July. We have some really good movies. We did have to change one. Cinderella, not the cartoon Cinderella, but the new movie that just recently came out, was supposed to be available for the summer, but now they pushed it out to September. So we only run these movies in the summer. So we replaced that with Monsters University. So, which should be fun. The movies are a lot of fun. It's, you know, it's nice to take your kids, your grandkids, yourselves, if you're in, you know, like those movies. Let me see what else. I need to, oh yes, yoga. One of the other things we had in the consent agenda is we have a lady who moved into town. She's a yoga instructor. She wants to start getting people involved in yoga, so she's offered to do a few free classes in the park and the pool. We're trying to set some dates, which I think will be really nice. I have a couple of things that came out of executive. Again, since they were in executive, we can't talk too much about this, but I have to make a motion to refer a tax matter to the Division of Taxation. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a comment, even though I have to abstain from that in executive session, because it's referring to myself. I do have to say, though, that when you're taking this vote, we have a couple of conflicts up here on council with regards to taking this vote, and I believe that 2 people need to recuse themselves from the vote. And those 2 people, I believe, are Lou Belcaro and Maureen McCabe. Maureen McCabe is in the midst of filing a tax appeal, which I find a little bit appalling since you set the tax rate and you're trying to appeal your own taxes. But at any rate, that's a conflict.
If you understood the process properly.
I do understand the
It's not the
process.
tax rate.
Well, what
It's
drives
the
your
assessment.
assessment, your tax rate.
And my vote doesn't conflict with the fact that your case has to go to.
It's not about me, it's personnel complaint. Your complaint is about Kathy Dagan.
We have to watch what we say, please.
Yes, I'm sorry. Your complaint, well, it's going to the Division of Taxation,
can't
sorry. Your complaint is about an employee which you have a conflict with. And also, Lou Belcaro has a conflict because he has a lawsuit right now against Wayne Dagan because his signs were too big for his campaign, and he was sent a zoning letter saying they were too big and need to remove them. And in turn, Lou and his running mate sent a lawsuit in saying that it's retaliation because Lou wants to share service. So we've got some conflicts up here, and you can vote at your own peril, but you should be voting on this personnel complaint.
Katrina, would you like to weigh in? No, sir.
I have spoken.
You've spoken to?
And given her my opinion.
Okay.
And Lou, I have not spoken to. I don't believe you.
There's no conflict on my end.
If there's no conflict on that, okay. Yeah, go ahead, that's okay, you can vote at your own peril. There was also a letter that was sent out that my assessment was done last year, and that it was all my paperwork is in good standing order, all my permits are in good standing order, and everything is the way it should be. Because the process broke at the municipal building does not mean that I did not pay my taxes. My taxes went up 178% in 10 years. So every year my taxes went up. If I don't know why they go up, they go up. I look at my bill, I pay my bill. Because of that, this is a witch hunt for myself because I put an addition on my home for my child who has a disability. I didn't hide the addition. I don't know how you can possibly hide an addition, nor did I skimp on getting the proper permits for it. So everything was sent in. If if they want to pursue something like that, then they can waste their money pursuing it, waste our taxpayer dollars pursuing this. But I think it's a ridiculous complaint.
All the problems in the world, and this is ridiculous.
So everything was in good standing with myself. All my permits are in this building. So if anybody wants to see the permits, I'm sure that someone downstairs would be happy to share them with you as well, because they've shared them with other residents that continually look for my permits and my records.
I have a motion and second.
Is there any other comment?
The only comment I would make from a legal standpoint is if you believe you could have a conflict, I recommend you abstain, because even if your vote is not needed for the vote, you would taint the entire process. So I would recommend anyone who believes they have a conflict should abstain.
That's good advice. Personally, I feel this is definitely a witch hunt. Donna wasn't on the council when this matter transpired, so as to whose benefit this accrued and what she did wrong, I have no idea. If somebody, if it takes a year and a half or something to catch up in this building, that's not her problem. And she did what she was supposed to do. And to continually do this, to besmirch her, to make her look bad, to hurt her feelings every time there's one of these meetings, is just absurd. But that's what some of us do in this council, and I guess it's never going to end. So, pull your roll.
I would like to respond to that. This has nothing to do, it actually has something, if things aren't getting done in a timely manner, that actually does have a lot to do with us, because we owe it to our taxpayers to make sure that everything is done in a timely manner. That's what it comes down to. So.
I'm sure there's other people here that they didn't catch up with in time either, but yet you're targeting myself. So I don't see personnel complaint, 5,000 other houses that took too long to get reassessed on here. I see just myself. So it's a little bit ridiculous.
That's what I see as well. All right, pull your roll.
Councilman Belcarra.
I just want to say something. I think that, to clear the air here, right, that what Donna's saying is correct, that she has nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fear there, okay? So
I don't fear it.
Fine. And she's, again, and I'm not doubting her, all right? So to clear the air, I'm going to have to support yes to the division taxation. They'll take care of it, and they'll clear the air. And that's it. This way, it takes it out of the hands of Lopatcong Township.
Councilwoman McKay.
No, I'm going to abstain. I don't want to cause any further issues, so I will abstain.
Councilwoman Schneider, you're abstaining also.
Yes.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
And the mayor.
No.
The next thing is to make a motion to, I have to make a motion to authorize council to draft a counter offer in regards to the Imhoff lawsuit.
Second.
Any further discussion? Imhoff lawsuit? Roll call.
Councilman Belcarra.
Yes.
Councilwoman McKay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
No, I'd like to talk a little further with the other attorneys. Yes. And yes, I said no.
Council President Chesler.
Yes.
And Mayor.
No, I think we should settle with him.
I have one more thing. At the last meeting, we did discuss, what am I going to say, a complaint regarding our sign ordinance. And I don't think we actually officially authorized our attorneys to see if our ordinance is valid. And I'd like to make a motion to have our attorneys investigate to see if our sign ordinance is valid and not a violation of the First Amendment. Or just valid in general.
Second.
Some clarity as to the validity of the sign ordinances would be welcome. I think that's an important step, especially if going forward in future elections, we don't want billboards out there, and that's what it's going to end up being if nothing's done about this. But what I do think is that we have to have discussion as to why people violate it and don't want to fix it. So that's a major concern of mine. Further discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCabe?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chesler?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Just want to make sure that's it. I think that's all I had to do coming out of there.
Okay, then who is it? Mine? Did I give you yours? I was gonna let you go last, but you can go. You can go now.
Okay.
Okay.
I usually do.
No.
I have a couple of things this evening. The DPW, they are out right now, fixing some potholes and paving, sinkholes, getting some of their equipment repaired. There's a big sinkhole, Stryker in 57, if I believe so. They're trying to get that under control. That's all roped off right now. So they're out there trying to get the roads in some kind of good standard. So I wish you luck on that, Brian. We had a resident that called myself, and I brought the mayor with me. She lives in Delaware Heights, and her property, Delaware Park. Delaware Park. She lives in Delaware Park, and her backyard butts up to the back of the DPW yard. There's been some debate, I guess, over the many years of her living here that her grandfather had, or her great-grandfather, someone in her family had given some land to Lopatcong, and we turned it into the DPW yard back there. We extended the yard. She asked for some trees to be planted back there, so her property would be a little bit shaded by the DPW yard. And I believe that did happen a few years ago. However, the trees died. So I think there's a little debate that I need to have maybe Paul help me on, because we don't know where this information is, if the property is ours, hers, is it, I'd just like to know some property lines. And also, if there's any possibility, I know Shade Tree does maybe have some funds, or, somewhere around where we can possibly plant a couple of trees back there to at least get started with maybe shading it, if it indeed is, something we can do. So I just like to have maybe Shade Tree look into a possibility of some, just something that grows big, that'll, arborvitae, something along those lines. And if Paul could maybe, if I could talk to you afterwards, and we can talk about her property and maybe help me out with the property lines.
Yeah, I have a survey for that site.
Okay.
And in fact, the property owner you're referring to, part of her shed or accessory building in the rear yard actually encroaches on the DPW property.
Yes.
I was involved in a meeting about 1.5 years ago where we determined that we were going to provide some trees along that property boundary. There's specific gaps in the buffer that need to be filled in order to eliminate the view that this particular property owner has to some of the DPW operations. So I think it would be pretty easy to get back into that area and to look at those gaps again and determine where the trees should go.
Okay.
I think arborvitae would be a poor choice because of the deer population.
Right.
So we would need to do some other type of evergreen tree.
Okay. Yeah, anything that's.
And the deer just usually.
Yeah.
All right, and we came in and we planted all the whiteys in there, they donated to us. All right, and they just, too hot, we had a hot summer, they didn't make it. All right, so we need to figure out what's, not just get trees donated, we need to find something.
Exactly.
That's going to last.
Okay.
Right.
So somewhere we gotta do some research on what the deer don't. I
I don't think there's much.
I suggested,
don't wanna waste money. just
Right.
because,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, it's not good for her, it's not good for us.
exactly. Her neighbor had planted bamboo, which, you know, spreads and, but it's created a big, thick barrier back there, and she does not want bamboo back there. So that's, that would have been something that would have given her a lot of screen and a lot of, you know, privacy. Yes, but she doesn't want it. So I don't know if it's our property, we can
Evergreens
put
might
it,
work.
or she has some evergreens back there. They're like the bottoms are, nothing seems to work right there. So maybe we can find something that's going to work back there.
So what I'll do,
Or a
I have
fence.
numerous landscape architects that work for me,
Okay.
and I'll bring one of them to the site one day when I'm in town, and we'll take a look at the area in question and find out what the most appropriate evergreen tree would be for that area to screen, you know, the DPW operation and also have a chance to grow and not,
Okay,
and not
right.
be ravaged by the deer.
Right. Okay.
So I'll put that on my list of things to do.
Shared service, as we talked about, I did meet on June 15th with Lopatcong and our subcommittee. They were fully aware that Mr. Belcaro was on vacation, yet they felt it urgent we needed to meet because they were having a meeting quickly after that. So I did make them aware of that. When we did meet, it started as some of the employee positions were being discussed, some weren't, and it came down to just they were interested in possibly our tax collector. And I brought to their attention we needed a finance clerk, and perhaps that we could share their clerk. So they went back to their council. They came back. They actually just called me at 6 o'clock this evening. I've been trying to get some updates from them so I can let other folks know. But they're interested in maybe pursuing again, having another discussion, maybe more monetary, about the tax collector's office. So we're going to try and schedule another meeting. And with regards to the finance clerk, it doesn't seem like that's going to pan out anytime soon. So I do agree that we agreed at 2 meetings ago to put an ad in the newspaper. However, it's a file clerk, really, not a finance clerk that we're looking for. And I believe that if we put it on our website, and as Lou suggested, that we could get some good candidates doing it in that manner instead of spending money on an advertisement. It's a part-time job for, what did we say, 20 hours, 15 hours a week. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put that on our website, and Lori, I'll call you with the details on that. So we'd like to get that in because we all know that Lorraine does have a lot of work and cleanup and trying to get her department up and running the way she sees fit. So we do need that part-time person. It's already in the budget, so it's not an additional cost to, taking it out of our funds. So that's, so we'll get that rolling. And also, in finance, I reported last month that we, without me knowing, we have been paying our auditor $6,000 a year in addition to their fees to do our budget. I found that a little surprising because it never came across my desk and we never voted on it. So when I started looking into finances this year, I found that charge, and we confirmed that, yes, it was to prepare our budget. Normally, the CFO prepares most of the budget, and our auditors do come in and have to do some work with it, but not the entire thing from soup to nuts. So thank goodness Lorraine came in and did a whole bunch of work, and they couldn't charge us the $6,000 this year. They only charged us $2,850. So Lorraine saved us over $3,000 by doing her what her responsibilities are in the first place. So thank you, Lorraine, for saving us some money, and that savings will continue as long as she's here, and it will probably be a little less next year. So we're hoping that we can squash that additional bill. And let's see. With regards last month, I also reported on some hate mail that went out from a PAC called PAC for Better Government, Leadership PAC for Better Government. A really lousy mailer went out to almost every resident in this township with regards to myself and the mayor, who weren't running for an election, but they did decide to put this out to help out the other people on the ballot. So I started to look at this, and last month I told you that our resident, Rob Larson, is the chairman, who comes to a lot of the meetings. He also tells the mayor he's a liar and a cheat up at the microphone. It is also donated to by our engineers and by our attorneys. I made the attorneys aware of it, actually, because from what I believe, they were not aware that their donation was being used for something along these lines, especially when they're representing myself. I started to look a little further into it, and I did see that our Board of Education, a gentleman on our Board of Education, Mr. McFarland, his wife is the treasurer for this PAC. So it runs pretty deep, and you know, the folks here think that Tom and I are radicals, or we're trying to do all these things, and you know, it comes down to radicals put out hate mail and use PAC money to do it. So I just wanted to inform you of what's going on with that, and it's really a shame that occurred. And let's see.
Yeah, we have less than a lot of confidence in the law firm being at bar, you know, having us in their best interest when they're donating money directly to a PAC that's out there sending out hate mail.
You do know how a PAC works, right? You donate the money to the PAC, and the PAC can do whatever it is. They do not authorize
Of course,
that.
they know
Of
what the
course.
PAC is doing, and they
Okay.
continue to donate. So,
That's
and
right.
then we have the former mayor's firm, who I think is donating as well. So this just gives you a picture of how things work around here.
Politics are not for the weak.
It's not politics.
It is politics.
That's not politics, that's
It's
hate mail.
politics.
So, in any case, I just wanted to let you folks know about that. And you know, if you did see it, there wasn't a pretty picture of the mayor or myself on it. So, you know, maybe next time they're going to send out mail like that, they could use a little better of a picture. And I think that's all I have for this evening. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you for your report,
Are we
Donna.
supposed to be using council time for politicking?
Yes, because you guys do it all the time.
Oh, really? Okay.
What? What?
I don't sit here and make
You
announcements about
sent out
leadership.
a-
Oh, how
I don't
many
know.
times did you? I
We're not going to
took
talk
it
about it.
report.
No, stop. We're not going to talk about
Mhm.
it. Let's see. What is my thing? Oh, I have a few little items. We covered a bunch of them already, so I'll just cover these. We had a hike in the Lopatcong Park. It was a successful turnout for the National Trails Day, and I think it was June 6th. About 45, 50 people showed up. We had some county folks there. I was there. It was great. We had a nice walk. Congratulations to Juniper and the newly constituted Lopatcong Environmental Commission for putting this thing together. We did, of course, send a number of photographs and some information to be put up on the website.
Yeah, we need disclosure forms. You can't put pictures of children up on the website without a signed
Well, then
consent
don't
form
use
from
those
their
pictures.
parents.
Use the pictures that don't have children. And, yeah, I'm sorry.
Just unless you want to know the law.
Yeah.
I know, that's why it's not there.
Yeah.
That's why it's not there, I know.
No need to be sorry.
All right, you know, what we like to do is we like to see our committees and all of them, you do well and serve the community and do the right thing. Personally, I've tried what I can with the hospital to get money for the LAA and to get medical assistance for them so they can help the kids. And that's worked. And the LAA, I just handed it over to them. I said, look, guys, you know, run with this. And they're doing it. So that's how you have to do it. You have to help everybody's committees. You don't try and demean them or obfuscate their achievements. At least that's how I look at things. All right, then we talk about continued negotiations with Aqua. We're real close to getting another truck. It's of course not going to be a new truck, but it's going to be better than what we had, and I hope to have that soon. I just missed the guy today with vacations and everything, but I'll know by next meeting. And plus the one we're going to bid on, if we get them both and we put it together, Brian will be okay with trucks for a while. And hopefully we get some money for the fire engine, and then we can pick up some other equipment that's needed by DPW, some lawnmowers and things, without going into budget. And that's what we're all about. We love doing that. We love saving money. Now, we took maybe $250,000 off of our ledger by having Aqua pay for the Wordsworth road sinkhole. In previous times, the township used to pay for that, but this time we pushed back a little bit and they agreed to pay for everything. So that was great, and I want to do things like that more often, and I'd like to have the cooperation at hand to be able me to do things like that going forward. So I just make that pitch. I hope it'll happen. Let's see. Okay. I kept my report painless and short, because I know we're going to make a new record tonight, and I'm trying to do that for you guys. Let's see. Next thing we got is department reports. Are there any department reports? All right. The next thing is payment of bills. Okay, bills. Where are you, bills?
You want to approve the department reports that you'll be.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We should approve them. We have to approve the council reports.
Yes, and you do get some department reports that are put in the mailboxes, like in the construction office.
Well, they're not reports, but yeah, okay. There's updates and such. All right, so, yeah, motion to approve the council reports and those department reports that we've received.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, welcome.
All in favor?
All in favor, we can do
Aye.
that.
Aye.
Okay, aye on that. Very good.
I have a question for you with the ad. Can we advertise for free on the League of Municipality for the job ad? No, it's a charge. Okay.
All right, list of bills. A mercifully low list of bills this time. Total is $536,221.19. Okay, so that's our bills. Motion to approve the list of bills.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? What?
Roll call.
Oh, it's money, it's roll, yeah, okay. So, roll.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman McKay?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Tesla?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is audience participation. What? I skipped you. Oh, my God.
And Paul.
No, Paul, do you have anything else?
I just had one thing to report. There was a request from a resident, excuse me, to establish a four-way stop sign at the intersection of Stonehenge Drive and Lauren Drive.
Yes.
And I've completed my investigation. I'll have my findings for the next council meeting. Thank you.
Yes, I saw that.
Thank
Okay, thank you for that.
CFO.
CFO, please, I'm sorry.
Thank you. We have received our 2014 audit. I have 60 days to get the corrective action plan out to all of you. I will have it done by the August meeting. There's a total of 12 recommendations of varying levels of urgency. Some of them have been corrected already, but everything will appear in the corrective action plan in the form promulgated by the state. So it'll be real detailed. I wasn't able to find a copy of last year's, but I'll still use the same form that the state.
Well, perhaps we can find that. Do you have last year's corrective action plan?
I couldn't find it. I don't know if you can look on the computer, Jenny, to see it.
Yeah, and like
I
the
mean,
state,
we can
there's
still
something else.
continue to look, but
Okay.
I just didn't have enough time.
The auditors did start today on their mid-year review that we all had requested for, and taking extreme advantage of the opportunity to ensure that all of the receiving and disbursements enumerations that, including with all my reconciliations each month, fit in line with what they were looking for. So Mr. Mooney seemed pretty excited when I pulled out my binder and showed him all my pretty tabs and so I can check the sections for reconciliation. I did report last time that we had the state charge accounts that came out in 1997, that I did do a new chart of accounts for all of our 2015 funds. And I was all excited, but MSI told me that they need me to give them the old number so that they can port all of the history with it, so that everything will migrate together.
So back to the spreadsheet.
So, yeah, that'll take me another little while to get that going, but hopefully I'll have that out to them by mid-July, so maybe August 1st we can go. Everything is live now with PNC with our transition over. Our checks are here, our deposit slips are here. Everyone hopefully has deposit slips that they can start using. We have run into a delay in getting the night depository key for the pool. So Beth worked out that for the meantime, they will continue to use the night depository at Provident Bank, and all of our funding is still there. It's just starting to migrate over to PNC. If I could get a copy of a listing of all of the committees, I'm more than happy to send all of my correspondence for the Finance Committee to everybody. But I was thinking maybe there's some committees that I would like to opt out of change, so I don't find any email today. So if I could get a list of the committees that would.
Well, I don't mind sending out the finance stuff. Did you? Yeah.
I have a couple of questions just on the PNC Bank. We're part of the transfer over to that was so that we could do our tax and sewer payments. They'll go right to there, like in a lockbox. Is that going into effect for this the bills that are coming due now? The 7-1? Yeah. Okay, great. So that everybody, and that should be on the bill, correct? The sewer and tax bills? Okay.
Rachel had the bills printed, the tax bills won't go out until whenever the county strikes the rate, it probably will be to the end of August at best. But they do have a verbiage on there about submitting them directly to PNC at the press branch.
Okay, and Beth and I were talking again about the like with the pool, trying to make sure we have the tightest controls possible over the cash, since they do a lot of cash, and I know we're going to try to get a bag for them. Is everybody getting a bag? The LAA going to get a bag too?
We used to have in Provident, they used to have those throwaway bags, but instead of the like a canvas locking bag. So I don't know what PNC offers, but she will need locking bags or those.
The plastic knife.
That kind of clothes.
Yeah, any kind of bags. And I guess the LAA, I mean, it might be helpful for them to have a bag too, since sometimes they'll do things, especially when it's football season and they have the concession stand. They get a lot of cash up there too.
Are they not going 501c3? Route?
Yeah, but right now, like it's gonna take a while. So in the meantime, if they get a bag, I don't think they charge. Do they charge us for this bag? No. Okay.
Okay, we are improving greatly the way cash is moved around.
Yeah. I did have another question too. Were we making any changes to any of the deposit procedures, or no? Are we sticking with what we're doing?
I started over again with John today.
Okay.
I'm not incredibly familiar with each of the departments.
Okay.
It's a learning curve for me, and he's going to help out. We'll hit each department in turn to make sure that I understand the way that it is now. And John.
Oh, okay, great. And that would be great if you can come back and tell us, because I think PNC has like a scanner or something that we can use. And
for checks.
Yeah, that'd be great.
On the desk right now.
Oh, nice.
Check 21.
And will each of the different offices be given a scanner, or will they just use yours?
No, normally there's just one in
okay.
Municipality. I'm going to request a second one specifically for tax.
Oh, okay, good.
I'll have to work that out with Rachel to see how that'll function.
Okay, good. And the lockbox, that's going to be like an automatic feedback to us, correct? Is that kind of how? Yeah, with the payments.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's
the
the
bank
old
is going
name.
to send us an electronic file, right, of everything that they process? Is that how they're going to do it? Do you know?
No.
Oh, okay.
The e-lockbox.
The e-lockbox they will.
E-lockbox is for people's online personal banking payments.
Okay, all right.
So when they make a payment with whatever personal banking system that they use, they'll transmit to us electronically, and then they will provide information that hopefully can go into that CSV or CDS.
Right, yeah.
So they'll import that into MSI to save the data entry and everything.
Oh, great.
The regular lockbox is just people taking their payments in or mailing their payments in or taxing.
Okay, all right.
So they'll send you the copy of the check and the list for your deposit.
Okay, so it's still,
PNC
all right.
doesn't have the stuff. If someone comes in without their stuff, they'll either make a or have some kind of internal form that they'll have to write up for each payment.
Oh, okay, all right. So they're still doing it
Yeah, there'll
manually.
be something as a primary piece of documentation for
Okay. Because I know like Mellon Bank started with like an online thing, but I guess PNC is not there, but that's great. I think it's going to be a big help. Yeah.
They do have the online.
Yeah, Mellon Bank for bigger customers has like where you can actually see, you don't get anything, you go online and it shows you all your deposits, but
Oh,
maybe one day they'll get there. That'd be cool.
I can go online and.
Oh, cool.
scan our deposits.
Like, well, you can see all the checks that came in? Oh, good, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, there was one more thing, for, it's a company called, Municipay.
Mhm.
I just had a presentation.
Oh, yeah.
In Lopatcong Township last Friday. They would be able to, put all of our information, well, they couldn't, but we have to have an IT person put the link physically on
Right.
the website, where our residents, consumers, anyone can go onto the website. They can view their history for tax and sewer.
Mhm.
They can view their current account balances, and they can make online payments.
We actually already started negotiating with them before you got here.
It's
Yeah.
it could be a very fast process. If you want it to move fast.
Yeah.
you want it to-
We're just waiting for we were waiting for the bank changeover, so we didn't have to set up the other accounts, and yeah, and it's free
Yeah,
to
that's
us,
what
which
we
is
don't
great.
charge us,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Huge benefit to the taxpayers.
So once we get settled, we'll put that in, that'll be great too. Thank you.
Okay, more?
No, that's everything.
Motion to approve, the, department reports?
Motion.
We did that.
We did that already? Okay, so the report came after. Oh,
We did the bill.
okay. That's okay. All right,
Twice.
let's do audience participation. You gotta yell.
Lee Rozicki, 56 Puddingstone Way. I would like to share my comments regarding Mr. Belcaro's inaction of obeying a town ordinance that has left candidates running for office very perplexed. I'm handing out now 3 letters that I received that was an open request.
Thank you.
The first 2 letters is a letter from the Township Zoning Officer, letter addressed to Councilman Belcaro, Mr. Pryor, requesting that they take their campaign signs down as a result of violating Township Code 24-52B and 243-53B of the General Sign Regulations. Mr. Deegan writes, quote, "The signs will have to be removed immediately. You can replace them with the permitted size signs if you wish," end quote. The violation has to deal with not having the proper size signs, and the code states 4 square feet. When Councilman Belcaro put his signs out, the size of the signs immediately caught my attention. It made me question whether they were legal. Now, how was I even aware that there is a legal limit? Because 3 years ago, this situation came to light in an Express Times article reporting on an oversized signs of the then current Republican County Committee members running for re-election. That was the interest to me because I was also running for county committee and my signs were the standard 18 inches by 24. You'll see in the picture of the copy of the article that I think they were like 5 feet by 5 feet.
5 feet by 5 feet. That's huge.
Yeah, they're huge. Now, it's my guess that when Mr. Belcaro received this letter, he was probably surprised. I propose that he didn't know about the size limit. Questions of, how's it going to look if I take the signs down? Am I going to be able to get new signs in time? And the cost come to my mind. My guess is maybe he called Doug Steinhardt or some other friends for advice. Well, in that packet there's a letter from David Norris, Esquire, from the law firm of Norris & Norris in Phillipsburg. Quote, "Kindly be advised that I represent Lou Belcaro and Joseph Pryor for the limited purpose at this time of this letter." The wording is very interesting to me, for the limited purpose at this time of this letter. For the reasons reflected below, your demand is rejected. I'll summarize the reasons. In accordance to New Jersey statute, that letter serves as notice of appeal to the zoning office decision, that the appeal be made at the next Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. Pending that hearing, you are hereby noticed that my client's signs will remain as installed, erected, and any acts to the alter, remove, or otherwise interfere with them will be dealt with as below reflected. The attorney purports that Lopatcong Township Code sections mentioned are invalid as written and applied. Paragraph 3 on page 2, Norris and Norris state, in order for content-based restrictions to survive, certain conditions must be met. The 3 following paragraphs, the attorney cites court decisions that invalidated city laws that restricted the number of signs on residential property and the durational limits of political signs. Then he goes on by claiming that the code and Mr. Deegan's actions are not content neutral nor reasonable. It is my understanding that the violation pertaining to Mr. Belcaro is with respect to not being in compliance to size, not in regards to content, durational, or the number of signs. The attorney states the alleged violation was inadvertent and de minimis and does not result in substantial detriment to the public good. Well, that's the attorney's opinion. I do believe there were other residents that came and reported of the signs blocking the view or pulling out certain corners. I'm sorry to say, but that statement to me reads like an officer he didn't mean to. The first paragraph, he attaches photographs.
Yeah, it's over the limit.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
So the limit was not imposed until tonight, and she came here prepared, obviously, to say something. So I think you should let her say
It's
it.
an ordinance, it's 5 minutes, just wrap it up.
Okay. All right, well, part of the, I don't have the pictures that are attached, because I didn't feel like making all these pictures, but I have pictures for you to review that were part of the Norris letter. Then my concluding paragraph I'll read. I find it incredulous that Mr. Belcaro, that you didn't own up to your mistake. I can understand not being aware of specific ordinances. I believe you didn't know. Personally, doing the whole campaign sign thing is a real pain in the ass, and does it win elections? No. But there is a law attached to it, and that's the sticking point for me. I rolled over in my head about, do I say something or just let it go? And it came down to 2 principles for me. The first, recognizing and accepting that I'm aware of the law or ordinance in our town about the size of signs. And second, answering this question, that by accepting and obeying this law, shouldn't our councilmen and women do the same? Now, of course, there is an exception, and that's the person's right to appeal. I'm almost done. And actually, by going through this process, I'm more knowledgeable about this process, and I'm grateful for gaining that knowledge. So, Mr. Belcaro, do you still have a moral disagreement with the content of this law? If you do, why don't you pursue the appeal? You know, what it looks like to me is that it looks like you used the legal process to get out of the mistake that you made. Look at the article, Mr. Camperine, he owned up to his mistake, he apologized, and he took signs down and he replaced them. So good for Mr. Camperine, and I admire him for admitting that. Yeah, it sucked that you didn't know, but what's the response from a teacher to a student for not having homework in, or a parent to a child for missing curfew, or a citizen to a police officer for being over the speed limit or blood alcohol level? Apparently, in interpreting this attorney's letter, the response was, he didn't mean to, they made me do it, or the rules are unfair. Mr. Mayor, this is unsettling to say the least. Where does this ordinance stand? And I look for you to make an inquiry about it.
All right, thank you for
your
that.
comments.
I see before me 2 letters I never saw before. I see Mr. Deegan's letter, and I see this law firm's letter with my name on it, but I was never served. So I don't know what this is, why I wasn't served. I don't know who was served. I guess Deegan was served.
Because your zoning officer was served.
Why wasn't I served?
I don't know, it says zoning officer.
That's Wayne Deegan and Tom McKay.
Tom McKay.
You have to talk to your zoning officer.
No, he didn't prepare this. The law firm prepared it. And I don't know why I wasn't, because I had no knowledge of, I mean, I had heard there was something like this going on, but I did not see these letters before, so.
Well, our attorneys are investigating the ordinance, and also there was a problem that after this whole thing happened, another sign that was too big went up I think at this point, I'd like to, I think we need to write the zoning officer to talk to him about this at the next meeting.
I don't know why you would, I mean, let's talk about, you're on the council, you're supposed to follow the rules.
Well, why don't we write the zoning officer and get his side of this? And
Part of the problem is none of the signs, there's tons of signs that weren't following
Right.
the ordinance, and they weren't enforced, so.
it's not just
Did
political
anybody
signs.
complain about them?
There's
No
many
idea.
signs.
Huh? You know what? You don't even
I
have
don't think
anybody
it's something
complain.
we should be discussing.
No, I think we
now.
need to write them
should
to
write
discuss it.
notes,
Yeah, because we can't
Of course
discuss
you
it.
will.
discuss it if this is ongoing.
Of course you will, because it's his fault.
Well, we definitely need something going forward, because I don't want to see sign size war for campaign signs. It'll look like hell around here.
You authorize my office to
Mhm.
make a recommendation.
We did, and I'm hoping that'll happen.
The zoning board said that you can ask for an interpretation of that law from the zoning. board. Any public person.
Did you go to the zoning board?
Request more than council. If you want an interpretation of the law, of the ordinance. That's
All right, let's move on to the next one. This is in the record. Next person, Mr. Swim.
Martin Swim, Old Byron Drive. Whatever happened to the South Warren Police Commission?
I don't know.
It's on the website.
I've never received anything about it, saw anything about it. It still exists as a legal thing, I believe. And so we keep it on there in case someone.
I haven't seen that.
He's liaison. Only Mr.
They've
Mercedes.
never contacted me. There's never been any meetings that I'm aware of.
Is Doug Steinhardt still the chair?
I don't know.
Is
No
Maureen
contact.
still the,
Maybe she is. Are you still in contact with her?
Well, did you take me off of it when you made your assignments at the beginning of the year? And
I
put yourself on.
They have never, no, Doug was on before. I just took the same
That
assignments.
is no longer mayor.
Right, so I took his assignments because I'm there. Yeah, they've never contacted me. And I don't know how to contact them, actually.
who's
But
the
I could,
liaison?
I don't think it's active. I would be the liaison, but I have not received any information. Mrs. Dilts, I think
It's
you,
a different board as far as I know.
is it, defunct? She says,
Why don't you call Mayor Kern?
Yeah, Mayor Kern is on it.
He's on it, yeah.
all right, I will do that. That's my note.
And Council President Van Lin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Juniper Lifer, 32 G in Lane. I've got a bunch of comments and I will try to do it quickly. See, and I'll even start my stopwatch. In regard to the sign ordinance, I agree that that was an unfortunate situation. It definitely seems like there was some kind of a bit manipulation there. I would just suggest that we get that interpretation that Lee suggested, figure out what the ordinance is so that we know before the next election. We do want to make sure that we have an even playing field for everybody. You can make that specific to political lawn signs, and just take into consideration that it really is not about freedom of speech. Nobody is challenging what you say on the signs. We're challenging the size of the signs. And there are reasons that are well beyond political and much more important than political for those standards, because, you know, we really want to protect the safety of our township, the integrity of our township. I mean, do we really want every political campaign to turn into a pissing contest where everybody's trying to one-up each other in terms of the size of their signs? I certainly don't. So let's just get that squared away so we all know what the rules are and the problem doesn't arise again. Public comment for 5 minutes, I totally support that. Hopefully we can be reasonable, but do our best to help keep the meetings a little bit shorter. Maureen, I thought the community yard sale was a great idea. I think that that's exciting. I know a lot of communities have benefited from things like that. So I hope that we're able to pull that together. I also thought that the communications idea that Lou presented was a good idea also, to ensure that everybody's communicating. I've heard a lot of different bickering up here back and forth, and I never heard about this, I never heard about that. Well, you know what? Then everybody share everything. I do think it should probably extend to some of the municipal employees, and you should probably determine, because there are some important players outside of the council who probably handle some pertinent matters that you all want to be aware of. But you're right, just make sure that there's no replies so that you are not in violation of the sunshine laws, and be sure that, you know, you're on, on the up and up that way. As far as the rent control issue came up, I find it hard to believe that that any landlords would actually freeze the rents, and maybe they would, but for all practical purposes, that's not going to happen. I also thought it was strange, the comment about the new apartments making it even harder for those older apartments to compete price-wise, because my assumption would be that the new apartments would be more expensive by leaps and bounds. So that probably really isn't a factor. So I just wanted to put that out there so that you understand. As far as the fire truck goes, I think that we should keep trying. We've all sold houses. It's difficult. They don't always sell the first month. Let's keep trying. We were only getting 6 before. If we end up getting 15 or 16, it'll be 10 more than we were going to get. So let's keep up the effort there. It's certainly worth it to the taxpayers. Let's see. The witch hunts definitely need to stop. Clearly, what Donna was discussing is indeed yet another witch hunt. Far too much time is spent on that behind the scenes here. We need you guys running our township. And one of you is going to have to stand up and say, I don't need to be involved in this. You obviously know that there's a lot of time and a lot of triangulation that goes into trying to frame people, hurt people, damage people's reputations. And in the end, it only reflects back on you. And I really worry about you all being implicated in whatever it is you're trying to protect. Just stop. Who was talking?
So are you almost?
No, I'm not. I just wanted to, I think I pretty much covered that. As far as the asphalt litigation, I know that you guys discussed that in executive session and that you cannot share whatever your determinations were, but I just wanted to be clear that it is still my understanding that the township is really no longer obligated to continue to foot the bill for defending the appeal process, that the township can very easily send a letter out to the appellate division and say that they're no longer participating. The defense would be in the hands of 189 Strikers Road Associates, and that decision, of course, would have to be made separately on the site plan portion of the case, because that's the planning board would have to make that decision to do the same. So again, the case would still go on, but at least it would not be at the expense of the Lopatcong taxpayers when defending it only benefits one particular business. So I hope that you guys will consider all of those opportunities to save us some money. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just have one thing to ask about. My name is Sandy Barron. I am a resident of Overlook, and I know during election time it was stated to us, there were letters that we received about obtaining an access road. And so far, that seems to be put on a burner. I don't know where. There's only one access into the place, and I don't know what has to be done or what initiated, but I think something should be done. It can create a very, very big problem, emergencies and so forth. Speaking of emergencies, I definitely support the Lopatcong. I was involved in that.
Oh, wonderful.
So if you have the ability, I think that Lopatcong should service the area. It was a very interesting meeting. It's my first real meeting. I feel absolutely you need a microphone. I think
Yes.
some of the geriatrics can't hear. And mumbling is, and then interaction among you doesn't help project. That's all I have to say. And you were very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter?
So, I'll try to see Howard's way. A couple of things. While you guys sit there and nod, the lady is right. Maureen was assigned this Overlook Access Road. We haven't heard a thing. When before election, at one point in time, you need to give a report because we haven't heard a thing, and you promised these people they get a road. Can we get an answer to these things, Tom? In regards to the lawn signs, for our attorney, I was advised by the zoning board attorney that you decided to keep the lawn signs up and not to investigate anything. The exact words of the guy was, Katrina told me to call up the dogs, and so I did. I'd like to know under what authority, then he's a liar.
I think you.
Okay, then
Must
I
be
will
some
speak to him and let him know that you told me you never said that and he's a liar. Mr. Beccaro, last time I checked, I'm not sure if it's still so, you're self-employed. One would hope that as self-employed, you're able to navigate your hours and get an hour in later so you can attend these finance committees. They are important.
That's fair.
Maybe they can be moved.
Mary, Mr. McKay, very important to me is I'm surprised to see that COA is not being discussed, and we're not allowed to discuss. We have $250-some thousand missing or misspent, and you guys refuse to investigate. We have 3 people on council who are on council for the last 3 years. It at least gives the indication of some impropriety here.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
You guys fighting to get an independent auditor in here to get that investigated, and now we've been told we cannot even talk about it anymore. It's just absolutely crazy. I'd like to get an answer to that one, if I could, please. Since we have the new school coming up, I think it would make sense for our liaison to the school board to attend the Phillipsburg school board meetings, as they are as important as ours, probably more important. And I'm not sure if that is, did we put an ad in the newspaper in regards to hiring a legal professional? Or did I see something wrong in the Star Ledger?
I don't know. I don't know of it. Was there an article or an ad put in the Star Ledger to hire a legal professional?
Yes.
No.
There
It was not an ad.
What was
There
it?
was a notice.
What did you
A
say?
notice.
Why did you bring
Notice?
it in?
Yeah, legal notice.
A legal notice to hire a professional?
Yeah.
And I believe the legal notice was which was in the Star Ledger, is not,
You don't use the Star Ledger.
is this Star Ledger? I don't know what
No.
newspaper
You
it
need to
was.
bring in what you're speaking about.
Okay.
They used the Star Gazette and
Or the Star Gazette. I don't think the legal notice was exactly what was voted on. I'd like to have that looked into, if you guys would. And last question I have, Mr. Mayor, I looked into that grossly, which I believe was grossly overpaying hosting charges. I don't know if Michelle had a chance to look into that. And just to make clear, I understand that our computer guy is not Dave Evans' son, but he is the son of our auditor's firm owner. So, and you guys know that, and you know that as well. So
I looked at your GoDaddy numbers. You have to tell me where you got it from because I came out to the same exact quote as what we're getting from Lou.
I like,
So,
if I can, would you be so kind and if I would request that from you to email that to me, how you came up with that number?
Sure. Mhm.
Since you're spending our money, I think maybe we can make that happen. All right?
And I would not recommend to this council, I know it won't be here next year, but I would not recommend going away from an archived email. It just opens you up to a lot of legal implications. Just saying right now, you should be archiving your emails.
Can we get, if you don't mind, if you have a chance to give some, specifically about the COA stuff, I'm interested in knowing why we're not pursuing anything. But
Speaking of
Ask the
COA,
attorney.
last thing, I think I'm out of, I also,
yeah.
Katrina, I don't think bidding on the truck is executive session material. I think you're getting wrong. There's no contractual
No,
agreement as of
no.
now. And you're spending my money on
No.
bidding on a truck. I think the residents have a right to know how much you spend.
There was a reason for
Yeah.
that. It's a bidding process. We don't want competing
Okay.
bidders to know what we're going to bid.
Okay, and if Donna is actually the one who is complained in regards to her taxes, also that Donna is not a town employee, and that is also not executive session material. I think you're wrong.
Thank you. Any other commenters?
No?
One more? Okay.
Good evening, council, and everyone in the audience. My name is Tim Weiss. I live on Strikers Road. I'd like to discuss a couple things that came up at last month's meeting that were a little concerning for me. One was someone came up to this podium to discuss the asphalt plant and the legal steps the township has taken to defend the actions of our planning board. Statements that were made, and I quote, one of them was cries of the community in reference to the community being against the asphalt plant, and another quote was, "You do know the community is against it." I have to make this statement because we don't hear about the community that says we're in favor of these kind of things. Just to make the statement, the person made these statements clearly does not represent the community. And to be fair, I do not represent the community either. However, I speak to many taxpayers in our community, and they're very supportive of new commercial taxpayers in the township, including the asphalt plant. Just because we're not at every meeting does not mean that we're not for commercial development, including the asphalt plant. The other issue and statements that were made by Councilwoman Schneider at last month's meeting concerned me deeply. While council was discussing budget hearings and the process of the budget hearings, the councilwoman made these comments. One was employees. Having them come in at night or early in the morning is difficult. The other statement was some employees are here only till 3:30, and it's hard to ask them to come in the evening. I have to say, if you have an issue getting your department heads to come to budget hearings, we have the wrong people in the jobs as department heads. I've worked in government for over 37 years, and I must tell you that when I was told that there was going to be a meeting to discuss my department or my department's budget, I was there whether it was daytime, nighttime, weekends, or whenever. If department heads don't want to come and justify their budgets, cut their budgets. They'll come next year. The statements that were made sound to me more like excuses than sound reasoning. Your budget hearing should be scheduled by the budget committee, advertised, and open to the public. The public should not have a right to speak at these hearings. However, it would give us, the taxpayers, an opportunity to hear our department heads justify what they're asking for in their budgets. The only other two things I have to say, again, 37 years in public safety, an access road into Overlook would not change an emergency in Overlook one iota, and you'll be lucky if you get $20,000 for that fire engine. So just keep wasting your time if you want to, but you got to get real. I don't know where the numbers came from, but they're nowhere near close.
Mr. Weiss, I just want to make a comment on what I was commenting on. I was not commenting on budget hearings. I was commenting on budget meetings. Meetings with Finance Committee and the person that
The employees.
The employees.
If your employees won't come in to justify their budgets, then we have the wrong employees.
Well,
They're civil service employees.
I was a civil service employee. I was there at 11 o'clock at night at meetings. I was there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was there on Saturdays. I was there on Sundays. And it's real simple. If I don't come to justify my budget, you cut it by 20%. I'll be here next year.
We can also be flexible as council people and come in when they're actually in the building.
But the excuse was the employees. That's not an excuse.
But then using it as an excuse.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Any further comments?
I will quickly
Be
clarify.
careful, you already went up.
You're already up here.
Can I,
If you want to
I left 30 seconds on the floor before. I was timing myself. I just want to clarify.
We need to wrap.
Yeah, I want to go home too.
None of
I just
people
want to
knew- we
clarify
haven't
that when I
adjourned the
spoke
meeting
about the
yet.
cries of the community, I spoke about the
Okay.
cries that we all saw happening at the asphalt plant hearing. And there were
The
cries.
meeting
All
hasn't
right.
been adjourned. Is there any other public comment?
All right. Any other public comment? Seeing none and hearing none, I close this session.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Now, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.